Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, rodents and other small insects. Welcome to another episode of the Eloquently Saying Nothing podcast. This is episode 256. Welcome. I am Stavros Bus. You can catch me at Stavros Bus everywhere. And you can catch us collectively at ESN Podcast on all social medias. Use the hashtag ESN Pod to start in or join the conversation. If you're listening to this and you don't know, this episode might be up on YouTube. We don't know. It depends whether we like it or not, but we're recording through Zoom today, which we don't usually do, but that means that we can all see each other. So I'm going to go through the list and introduce the rest of my posse. Let's start off with Big Wahala.
A big wahala on Insta, a big wahala on Twitter. What's good, people?
Also, in another part of London is in a very dark part of London, DJ Webslinger.
Scandal people, DJ Webslinger on Instagram, DJ Webslinger, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. DJ Webslinger.
Oh, why did he go like this?
Yeah.
In the house.
Your web's gonna come out. Your web's gonna come out there, bro.
Probably. DJ Webslinger on Instagram, DJ Webslinger on Twitter. What's going on, people?
In the house. Flavor Flav for the old people that know. Also from another part down south, Mr. Wolf.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Good to see everybody's faces. Yeah, man, happy to be here. And as you know, Mr. Wolf, coming from South London. You can catch me on AKA Mr. Wolf on Instagram, AKA underscore Mr. Wolf on Twitter. And as per usual, Mr. Wolf has got something special for you, something from the tribe, something from the Yoruba tribe. We have this week's Yoruba proverb, and it sounds a little something like this. Got to hold it to the mic today. Yeah. And the translation to that is, as the bank spurs the flow of a river, so the honor of a father inspires a child. And the wisdom translation is, to the faithful fathers and fathers to be out there, thank you so much for your sacrifices. Today, this very day, is Father's Day around the world. And yeah, I'm going to say a few things regarding that in the podcast. But to all the fathers that are out there doing their thing, you may not hear a lot of positivity regarding men in this podcast, but the bit of positive that you do get will be from me, trust me. So well done for doing what you're supposed to do. And not just the fathers, those that are godfathers, those that are uncles, older brothers, mentors, people that guide others. Well done. We need you, and thank you for everything you're doing, man. So yeah, boom.
All right. Last but not least, we have our brother with the dreads, Simple Simon.
That girl, that wonderful lady. It's often said that she behaves as if she's too nice, as if she's beyond the others. The truth is, she is the companion of a whole bunch of men. Gaza. That was a short excerpt from a poem by the Right Honourable Red Rat. In its original rendition, the poem is called Shelly Ann, and it sounds a little something like this.
Shelly Ann, she bad. Girl.
Oh no. Oh no.
Gaza
That
will
is-
forever. At Simple Simon FB on Twitter, I don't have Instagram. Know thyself. What was you going to say? That is what?
That's one of the old school classics, man. You know what I mean? When I first heard Red Rat, I was like, yeah, I'm feeling this guy.
Yeah, man. Some nice 90s misogyny. It's all good.
The other one that I really like in that era was Shakademus and Pliers and the other one, the Supercat. Is it Supercat?
Who is Shaka Demons and Pliers? What they've got a song together? You're talking about?
Shaka Demons and Pliers got loads of songs together. That was like a
No,
duo, wasn't it?
with Supercat. Is that what you're saying? Or
No,
you-
I'm
No,
saying
it's
Shakademus
different
and
artists.
He
Pliers
means murder. She
and then
wrote, clearly.
Supercat. You
No,
know.
it's not. You know what? Shaka Demons and Pliers is not Murder She Wrote. You know, it's Tease Me, Tease Me, Tease Me, Tease Me, Tease
Loads
Me,
of tunes.
baby.
Who did Murder She Wrote though?
Shaka
Demons and Pliers, isn't it?
Shakademus and
Yeah.
Pliers,
I'm
Murder She
saying it's
Wrote.
not just that one. I said.
She
No, but I was saying that's
Yeah,
the one
no.
Mr. Wolf probably thinking of.
wrote.
No. I'm talking about all of their tracks, man.
I don't understand. You know, still to this day, I don't know what the man says. You know, something about character. You know, come on. I have no idea what the man says.
Your stink
Skinny
pussy
face.
and bad character.
Up to flirty. Am I now see? Something. I don't know what he says, bro. To this day, I don't know what he says. I
It's
really
funny.
start paying attention to the lyrics, you know, because I'm really bad at lyrics, man.
It's
Pretty
funny.
face and bad character.
Go on,
Oh.
what's the next bit after that?
Uh,
You're reading it. Look at
them-
We can
them-
see you,
He's
bro.
reading it.
them the kind of living.
I went to
can't hold
Wikipedia.
Chaka. Them the kind of living can't hold Chaka. Follow me.
You might even put a follow me on the end.
Them the kind of living that can't hold Chaka.
And the girl name is Maxine. And something is like a something rose. That's all I know, man. And if I ever tell you about Maxine,
That was a wicked combo, though, bruv. You know what I mean? That combo was like Batman and Robin for real.
but which one is Shaka Demons? That's the uncle, innit?
Yeah, Shaka.
Yeah.
the one that looks like Stavros.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a little bit. That's the uncle, boy. Shaka Demons was the full on uncle.
Right.
Is that you?
Yes, that was in my past life. Mr. Wolf, check your mic, bruv. I'll check
Baby
your message.
girl.
Right. Voila. I'm going to leave you to properly do the jump off with all the topics. Apart from if anybody else wants to jump in, by all means. But he says he's got all the topics there.
No,
so
I
let
didn't say I
him-
got all the topics. I just said I got a couple questions I wanted to.
Whatever, man. Whatever.
But all right, but anyway, let me get into the thing I wanted to say first and foremost because I didn't want to leave it to the end because I didn't want to forget about it or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know about worldwide. You know where we can see you and hear you now, yeah, Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, I know.
What? Can they?
I'm just saying that I always have my mic.
I always
like
have
this.
it like this. Anyway, look at that face. Anyway. So I don't know about worldwide, but I know definitely in the UK anyway, there's been a lot of discussions this week regarding sexual abuse and rape and whatnot on the timeline this week. A lot of women are coming out and expressing themselves in with each other, basically. Some of them hidden in the DM, some of them coming out onto the timeline and actually saying, you know, I've been raped or I've been sexually assaulted. And some people are naming and shaming some of them. Some people are, or you know, rightly so, deciding they don't want to necessarily bring it out to the public because it's private to them, and they'll maybe take it to the police and whatnot. But either way, anyway, there's been a lot of that discussion going on. Whether or not we're to get into that discussion, I don't know. I don't know if the guys are going to talk about that or not. But I just wanted to say that a few places that if anybody's having any problems or you know having any issues regarding sexual abuse or sexual assault, and they want somebody to maybe talk or somebody to help, I've got a list of people that have hopefully are reputable. I've reached out to somebody that I thought I've seen or anyway, has been quite active in the discussions regarding this, and I trust that they're going to bring me reputable sources. So anyway, so one of them is the survivortrust.org. So that's the survivortrust.org. You've also got victimsupport.org.uk, and you've got womensequality.org.uk/support. And these are national help services that will help women that are having problems with sexual abuse or have been raped, or maybe want to, you know, start talking to anybody about what their options are regarding maybe going to the law or just anything. If you're having any problems and you're feeling like you need somebody to talk to, these are the people that you can talk to. Stav will put it in notes so you can use them and find them. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. That's definitely needed. Definitely needed. It's been an interesting couple of days on the socials still. So yeah, definitely needed.
It's been mad. Well, as we always talk about it often on our podcast about the amount of women that we know that have discussed with us personally that they've been sexually abused or been sexually assaulted in some form of way. And we always said that if we know 10 girls, at least 8 of them is gonna tell us that something has made them feel uncomfortable. At least maybe even 10 might say uncomfortable, and 8 might say they felt like they've been sexually abused or sexually assaulted at some point in their life. Obviously it's now coming out to light how many people are feeling this on the timeline, and it is devastating the amount of stories and things I've been seeing and reading. One of the things that obviously happened last week, was it last week or this week? I'm not too sure now. Well, it'll be last week when the podcast come out, definitely, is the murder of the Nigerian girl in America called Oluwatoyin. I'm not sure, I can't remember her surname too much.
I think it's Salau.
Salut. Okay, so the story of her is, when I say it's heart wrenching, and so when I read what actually happened yesterday, because the guys actually confessed to the murder because she was murdered. I was if I was a person that cried, I would have been in tears because it's just so sad. So basically, during the day, let's say whatever happened, she must have come online or somewhere.
Trigger warning then.
Trigger warning. Yeah, trigger warning for anybody that might feel that this might be a bit upsetting. If you feel like you don't want to hear it, then please skip forward. So basically, they said that she basically was sexually assaulted during the day. So she was sexually assaulted somewhere. I'm not too sure where or how it happened, but she was sexually assaulted, and she ended up being at the bus stop. She met a man at the bus stop, and her and the man at the bus stop must have been chatting. I don't know how it happened, or he had a car or something anyway. And she must have, actually told the man, I've been sexually assaulted today. She was in distress. So the man said to her, okay, if you're feeling really upset or you're feeling worried, I can drop you home. So then she got in the car with the man, and then the man then took her back to his house. Basically,
no, they were at the bus stop. She explained the story, but he said he can come to my house, or this is his story. He said he can come to my house.
Oh, so you know as well, yeah.
I read the article that he posted. He said that he can come to my house and freshen up. He didn't have a car. He called that second person that he ended up.
Another lady. Yeah, he called a lady to come in. Oh, this makes it even more sickening. So he called another lady. I think she was very old, about 70 something.
75, I believe.
They come and pick them both up, and then they took him back to his house, and then basically when he got back to the house, I don't know what he did to the elderly lady at that time, but I know that he basically ended up raping the young girl who's only 19. He raped her several times. Apparently he raped her for a few days, and then when he knew that, he said that by the time that he knew, after a few days he's done this, he knew that if he let her go, she will report him to the police or he'll get caught. And I think he was on the first strike or something, so he thought it was best to kill her, and then he killed the old lady as well. I don't know what to say to that, man. When people say that black women are not safe, obviously you can argue, obviously people can say this, they can say that, but when you hear stories like this, it's just heart-wrenching, man. This is very heart-wrenching. And there was a black man that killed her as well.
This is horrible because this is the second time I've heard a similar story. I think one of them happened, I'm not sure 100%, but I think it was in the UK.
It was in the UK where she got raped, and then she, on the way home, somebody raped her again.
Yeah. And it's just like, it is, when people say, like, I would say it's the depths of depravity. Like, this is your worst nightmare's nightmare. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know how human beings are built.
It's just, it's sickening. Clearly the man's, I don't know, he basically got caught. They found the body in his backyard or something like that, and something happened to him. I don't know, he ended up in the hospital. I forgot how or why, but then he decided that he was going to confess to the murder, and I don't know, but that I think that triggered a lot of people then to decide that they wanted to talk about their experiences. At the moment, obviously, the Black Lives Matter movement is quite strong. A lot of people are saying, that we are all human beings, including black people. You need to treat us like we are, and that's obviously then splitting off the different regions and different people having different experiences and telling us why they feel like they also should be treated as equals. And black women are now letting us know as black men that we're not doing the best for them when it comes to being supportive, and we are predators just like the same way that our white counterparts are, our Asian counterparts are, any other region counterparts are. So we need to be more aware of that and be more protective with the ladies in our community and making sure that we as men are holding other men accountable and looking out for our black women, because the amount of stories that's come out is just, it's a lot, man.
Let me ask you a question. I always, we always assumed that our listenership was much more women than men. But when I check the stats on Spotify gives me much more granular stats than we've had previously. So since we're on Spotify, the people that listen on Spotify is pretty much 50-50, more or less, yeah? Different age groups, I noticed some men listen a bit more. It's always 60-40 basically. So on a different age graphic, sometimes it's the men listen a bit more, and on the other graphic, it's the women listen a bit more, but there's 60-40, and overall it's 50-50. The men that listen to our podcast, when we talk about we need to protect black women, because I'm going to assume most of them are black. I don't have the racial demographics of our listenership, but I'm going to assume they're mostly black. So of those black men that happen to listen to our podcast, wherever they are in the world, do you feel we are preaching to the converted when we say protect black women? Or do you, what percentage of the men listening do you think are the type of men that, let's not go through to murder, but those videos that we might have seen recently of men just hitting women randomly on the street because they get turned down, they try to chat her up, she blanked him. We saw one where somebody got hit with a skateboard, people getting punched in the face, that was posted in our group, stuff like that. Do you think our listeners are not that kind of dude, or it's like, no, maybe half of them that listen to it do it, or most men do it?
How would we know, bro?
I'm asking you to guess. I've just said I don't know.
Not even something we can guess. I mean, within our circles, we know. I'd like to say we hope we know that at least within our immediate circle, we know none of us are like that. That are of the mindset to say, "Oh, right, cool. Seeing as this happened to you once, I might as well do it again to you because it's what it is, isn't it?" But outside of that, there's no way of us knowing. Even to have an imaginative number, I don't think there's any way of us knowing.
There's one thing I would like to say, and a lot of women were saying it online, and I just wanted to be clear. Just because somebody is our friends, men, we got a lot of friends. Like, we've all got friends here. We not, as much as you think that we don't talk to the level where we would necessarily know whether or not our friend is a sexual abuser or a rapist. We might not know. When we leave this podcast now, we all go our separate ways. We might have a chat on WhatsApp, we might chat a few things or whatever, but we might not know that one of us could go and do something of madness, and we wouldn't know unless they come and inform us and tell us. We wouldn't know. So I know there was a lot of notions with a lot of people saying, "Well, you know if your boy is like this." We wouldn't know if our boy is like this. We don't always know. Some people have the closest friends, and they have done a madness, like a proper madness, and you would never even know, because if they don't tell you, they don't tell you. We're not necessarily the type of people to go and go that deep into a situation. We don't even ask most of the time as men. Well, we do. Us men maybe a little bit more. We don't really even ask how things are going in your day, let alone going deep into what did you do last night and what stuff like that. It's not necessarily going to happen.
I wonder if women know, but I think they do, with maybe some of their individual peers, that men have a completely different dynamic with their boys. And mute yourself if you're going to be sniffing and having alarms going off in the background. Men have a different dynamic with their boys than they do with a woman. So I can talk to you guys a certain way. I'll talk like blah 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 blah. But I know there's certain conversations that I can't necessarily flesh out. So I guess strangely enough, even though I have female bedrooms from a long time, from Wade, there's very few of them I actually pick up the phone to. But it seems like a lot of the women I've met recently via the podcast are women that I would actually talk to recently on the phone. So people like Mo or Georgette or Lala, I actually talk to them on the phone more than I talk to people I've known like for decades that we just message, we never talk on the phone. And I have these big fleshed out conversations with them that I wouldn't have with you guys outside of this podcast. If it wasn't for the podcast, we wouldn't have this conversation at all. So I think many men have different dynamics with men that they do with women. And in my sense, it's usually I have a more fleshed out conversation, especially about these topics with women. But for other men, is when they're with their boys, it's all bants, it's all jokes, it's all football and computer games. And then when it's with women, maybe that's what the predator switch turns on. It's never applicable to you as a man. You would never see it. The switch only comes on when there's a woman around, and they're dealing with that woman one-to-one on an individual basis.
Yeah,
I think that depends on your circle of friends. I would say that you guys, including some that are in our WhatsApp group, are maybe one of 3 or 4 circle of friends that I would say that I have. You guys, no, I don't really pick up the phone to speak to you. I did have a long conversation with Web Slinger not too long ago, but there are other friends that I have these kind of conversations with. Do you know what I mean? We talk in length. Even via WhatsApp, there's voice notes that will go on for ages. It's not a back and forth conversation with one individual, but voice notes, we are talking to each other, you know. But for me personally, I would be extremely surprised if one of my guys in my circle of friends displayed that kind of behavior in terms of domestic violence to women in any kind of shape or form. Obviously, we're not talking about the extremes of murder, but I would stick my neck out and say that the decision that I've made to make someone who is my friend, and I think we spoke about friendships here, that my friends are really my family members, you know, brother from a different mother kind of flex. They're not just friends. I would stick my neck out and say that none of my boys are about that life.
The thing that I'll say though that we have to be a bit careful of is that what people see as when men talk about sexual assault and predator behavior, we tend to think mostly about rape and, you know, somebody touching up a woman or feeling her up and, you know, or doing something like that they might not like. We don't think about certain other things that people, like Steph said, might discuss as bants. So like one of the things that people were talking about is when I wish you guys watched this program as well, by the way, I May Destroy You, because a lot of this topic comes up in that program. But anyway, either way, there's one of the topics that people brought up is something to say like when a man has sex with a woman and he takes off the condom and they don't know it and stuff like that, that is a form of sexual assault, because if you agree to have sex with a condom and then the man takes off the condom and you don't know, that could be seen as some form of sexual assault. And I've heard somebody say that, like not in my friendship group, but somebody out there saying, bro, like as banter, bruv, if I was banging it, I'm telling you now, I'm taking off that condom, bruv. Blah 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 blah. It's a joke when they're saying it, but we don't know what they're doing when they're actually with the woman. Do you know what I mean? I was like, what man? I'd say, what are you mad? What kind of man is he chatting about? He's like, I was joking. But I'm like, those are the type of things that is a joke, but you don't know what they're doing when they're with a woman. So sometimes we have to look beyond the banter and see whether or not the person has got the capabilities to do the things that they're saying they're going to do. And I don't know. The reason why I bring this up, as I said, is because it's not as easy as some women think for us to identify a predator. The same way it's not as easy for them to identify one. It's not easy for us to decide that one of our brothers is a predator. If you see them do predator stuff, or you're with them when they're doing that, then obviously, yeah, you're gonna know that this person's on that type of flex. But if you don't see them in that particular way, if you might be around a boy when he chirps a girl, but you never see him with the girl until maybe that's his girlfriend, you don't know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of this stuff might have happened in people's uni halls and stuff like that, which is different because you might be dorming with them and all that type of stuff. But as big men like us, I don't know what Mr. was doing. I don't know what Web Slinger's doing with his woman. I don't know these types of things. I don't really ask.
Do you know what I find most disturbing about this, the story and this topic as well? It leaves us in a state of we can't even be good Samaritans, or we have to question our good Samaritan status. Because if something like that happened to one of us, if after hearing this story, we encountered ourselves in a similar situation, someone had come up to us and mentioned out they'd been sexually assaulted or something like that. What do we do? Do we say, oh, do you want help? Do you want me to come and help you get, advice, help, or speak to the police or whatever? Do you want to come and freshen up at my house? Do you feel this, that, and the other? Now we'll have to second guess ourselves because we don't even know what that woman will be thinking if we offer them help, or what it may look like once we do offer them help.
The sick thing that man did is that he actually did what I would think is the right thing to do. He
Yeah.
called a woman to come and help. So so she could be a bit more safe that there was another woman there. Like, I get what you're saying, Webs, but in the end, it's one of those things where if you're in that situation, you need to make the call. In me personally, if I was in that situation and a woman told me she opened up enough to talk to me about that, I would probably call my wife or somebody that I know that's very close to me and say, "Look, I've got this lady here. She's done. This has happened to her. I'll have to ask the woman as well. She's happy for me to do that as well. So I'm going to call my wife, and because I think that you'd be good to have somebody, another woman here that could potentially help you, because they might need help with certain things. She might need to be unclothed or something to look at bruises, or somebody to help her with certain things. You don't know. She might want somebody to go with her to the police. I think the best thing to do maybe actually is to ask her, is there any one of your friends that you want to call and I can wait with you while your friends come or something. But it's one of those situations that you hope you're never in. And I'm just really sorry for that poor girl that's died, man. Very, very, very sorry. It's very upsetting story. And for all the women that have posted all of their stories and all of these ladies that I was talking about, the sexual abuse that they've had, and this, bruv, that was a wrong time to laugh. I know you've laughed because websling has come off the thing, but
yes, I have.
But yeah. So any of the ladies or the women that's had these types of problems, I'll sincerely, give my condolences to you, and I'll say sorry that you've had to experience those types of things, because there's a lot of awful things that people are saying that's happened to them, man.
No, it's the thing that's most shocking for me is that it happened on Facebook as well a couple of months ago, and it normally starts the same way. One person comes out and says, "All right, I was such and such years old when I had contact that I felt uncomfortable with. I'm finally glad that I've said it." And then the comment section of that post is then just, do you get what I'm saying to you?
I saw it.
You saw it as well.
Mm-hmm.
It just comes like a rafter of different women from the same age group, slightly younger, slightly older, and it's like it just becomes it becomes a catalogue of this atrocious experience, but it's so widespread that you're like, you start wondering who are the people that haven't had the experience. You get what I'm saying to you? Like, that's kind of like what it looks like. Don't get me wrong. I know that we live in bubbles and the audience is a captive audience, but it does beg the question, because I don't know if there was any other scenario where that number of people were able to come forward with stories, we would be more inclined to be like, yo, there's something definitely wrong here. Do you get what I'm saying to you?
The issue that they've got as well is that people are rightfully saying, which is very valid, is that we're in a predicament at the moment where we're saying, fuck the police, basically. Everyone's screaming out, the police they're not for us, they're not with us, they don't help us. And then when these girls are coming out talking about their sexual assault, everybody's saying, especially the men that are, maybe backing the other men that are their friends or whatever that's been accused, they're all saying, well, why didn't you go to the police? But we've actually had this discussion for weeks on end now that the police don't care about us, and they definitely don't care about black women the same way that the hospitals don't seem to care about black women. So what are they supposed to do? They're in a catch-22, sorry.
The thing I don't like as well is with the mandem that are coming forward for this, like, again, because these things are happening on open public forums, mans are coming through sometimes and they're like, oh, like the first thing they're doing is like, oh, we only heard one side of the story, or there isn't enough evidence. And they kind of amplify the false, the people that make false accusations. They amplify those numbers in such a way that it's like, oh yeah, how do we know that this is not another false allegation? But it's like, first of all, these are people giving you their experience from the past. That's the first thing. And second of all, why then do you automatically kind of like go, I don't know, I don't want to say victim blaming, but that's what it almost comes across as, because you're like, oh yeah, how do we know this is true? Yeah, there's an element of that, but there's also people who are telling you their life story. And I think we should err on the caution of giving the benefit of the doubt in most cases. And then hearing out or with time the details come out, and then you get to know to the nitty-gritty. But I'm concerned about men that are leaning in with the, oh, how do we know it's true kind of thing. Like, Someone's had a traumatic experience. They've gotten to the stage where they're able to talk about the traumatic experience, and then you just come on like a blunt instrument and do you know what I mean? Just like poke around. I don't know, man. I'm uncomfortable by it.
It's a shame, but I think it's the defense mechanism for men as a whole in general would be when you hear that talk to say it's almost like it's the one time where men in general have this innocent until proven guilty thing. Because I think it's almost like every man can relate to being in the situation where somebody's accused him of something that he cannot prove he didn't do. If let's say if they were in the same vicinity or in the same building or something, he cannot prove he didn't do, and it's almost a fear of this could happen to me. So what you'll find is a lot of time, when people can identify with something, that's the time when they can defend it or back it up or argue it's the case, because I can put myself in that person's shoes, which is why it's harder for a white person to understand certain issues for a black person than vice versa, or any race for any other race, because I'm not in your shoes, I can't understand it.
And it goes vice versa. The same way that men are so defensive in this situation because of the exact reason that you're saying is the same reasons why women are dismissive about that defense, because a lot of them have gone through the experience that the other person is putting forward. So the women are saying, you know, I believe her because they've got a story themselves that almost mirrors what she's saying.
Yeah.
I believe her. And I'm not gonna not believe her, because when I was saying my story before, all I got was men telling me, what about the evidence? What about the evidence? So I'm gonna believe her. So it works both ways. The exact same thing that Steph saying regarding the men happens with the women as well. And obviously, hopefully, you end up thinking that you get to the truth, but there's a lot of the times when the truth doesn't come out. The truth doesn't come out, or if it does come out, we don't know which one is the truth, and it's not acted upon. Like they were showing some stats about the amount of rape. People that actually make accusations of rape going to the police and whatever, and their conviction rate is so small, like so small.
Yeah, it's mad that this year is just gone topsy turvy, twirly, round and round. It's a mazine. 2020 for me, my life, I don't think I've ever had a year, and we're only 6 months into it, as pivotal as this year. It is. It's a mad thing. So it started off with, you know, celebrity deaths and fires in this country and locusts in East Africa and all of this and earthquakes. People talking about the people forget at the beginning of the year people were talking about the world is gonna die. You know, it's like is there something happening? Sorry,
World War III in it.
World War III, yeah.
There was World War III. The world, but end of the day, that was much ado about nothing. So I'm gonna allow that. But there were actual natural disasters going around. There were locusts, earthquakes, bushfires in Australia. People were like, wow, this is like the stuff you see in the Bible. You get me? Like, what's going on? Then you had celebrity deaths. Then we moved on to, I think then World War III business happened. And then the corona hit. And then the Black Lives Matter. And it seems that there's a shift in the UK. So I can't talk for other places because as we're talking, a few days ago, a list of predators has done the rounds in social media on Twitter mostly, but this was Black Twitter. But once I did a little research, it seemed that it stemmed from a similar list coming from Ireland, and then a similar list coming from Scotland. So it's like people in Scotland had decided we're going to talk up. Had decided we're going to have this list of predators that people need to watch out for, I believe, on social media. So let's say specifically Twitter. These are the names you need to watch out for. These people, they're going to your inbox, or if you know them in public, they're usually kind of like public figures to some extent. Watch out for them. They're predators in one way or another. Then maybe the list leaked. It happened in Ireland or Scotland. I can't remember which one happened first. Then the same thing happened there. And then it happened in like London Black Twitter. It spilled over into this. And as we're talking now, this is the topic that's going on now, and people are being exposed left, right, and center.
And celebrities as well.
Yep, and I think it's a good thing. I was telling my missus, it's like if people are not exposed, if these things don't come out, then there is no shift in the culture. And I was saying that maybe my daughter will be 4 in a couple of weeks. Maybe if she was a boy and she was let's say 13, So let's say I had a 13-year-old girl. We have a discussion up to the 13-year-old girl and the 13-year-old boy. Maybe my discussion 2 years ago would have been different than now. Maybe now it's I'm adding things into the equation, whereas make sure you do this with women, make sure you don't do that with women. Whereas I might not have said that before. Maybe the conversation I had before was make sure you're safe. If you ever do anything, use condoms. That's what I would have told the boy. But now I have to tell him about make sure you keep your hands to yourself. Don't do this, don't do that. I'm going to be very, very honest and say that if this list came out 20 years ago, maybe I might have been on this list. If you call 20-year-old Stavros going to shush rooms and raving all over West End, Jack the Lad, Slag for Life, my name could have been on this list for not for rape. So before, never that. But so there were people talking about if you like. I've never grabbed a woman's breast, but I know I stroked a woman's arm. That was actually the thing that I used to do back in the day. And if somebody told me, Stav, have you ever touched a woman's bum that you didn't know or unsolicited? I can't tell you no. I don't know. I can't remember. Like 20 years ago, I don't know. So if somebody put an actual gun to my head and said, have you done that before? I can't tell you no.
I know that I have. I think we spoke on a previous podcast, and this was a very early in season number 2. And we were speaking about a similar topic, and we were talking about how we were when we was young, how I was like in school, and the kind of fondlings, and the term was feeling up a girl. Do you feel her up? Do you feel her up? Yeah, I felt her up. I know that I have. Do you know what I mean? And my recollection, and I'm pretty good friends with a couple of girls that I know that I've done that with. I can go back to them after this podcast, have a conversation with them, and know that they are going to say that they didn't have a problem with it. You get me? I know that. But I can go back and have that conversation with them. In hindsight, they can look back and think, did I think, they will size up themselves in terms of their age, in terms of their mentality, in terms of how they were back then. Times have changed. Do you know what I mean? In terms of what you said and what you mentioned, that you can't remember. I know that I can. In nightclubs, I had my chest felt, my balls felt, my bum felt. I didn't feel violated. It was like, wow, you felt me up, you naughty girl. I've done the same. And that was the kind of way how it was. Have I touched the backside or an arm or held a hand on a person I didn't know who didn't like it? Perhaps, yes. In a nightclub, that is probably, yes, it probably is the case.
Just before we started recording, I was having a conversation and with a woman, and she said part of it comes down to, because we were talking about this topic, and part of it comes down to if the person liked you, Mr. Wolf, then maybe it was all right. If she didn't like you, then it wasn't all right. Mm-hmm. And that's not to dismiss it, like to put it in a trashy way. But if it wasn't something that didn't come, because there are gradients to this. I know people say sexual abuse, and that's it. But I actually don't think it's just, rape is different than touching somebody on the arm. There is a difference. So I don't want to confuse it and make it seem like it's all the same, because there is a difference. So on the lower level, on the lower gradient of that scale, the touching her arm or rubbing her back, if a woman turned around and she likes you, or let's say something like, even like carnival, something simple like that. If you go and dance with a woman, that is invading her space. If you properly push yourself up around her, if she turns around and she sees something she likes, she might continue dancing with you. And if she doesn't see what she likes, she'll push off you. So there is another factor into the bucket as well. You also have. Sorry, go on.
But that is consent, isn't it? So that's the important part. So
no, but you started without consent.
I don't know.
That's the point.
But yeah, I'm not arguing that. But I'm saying, once even if you approach a woman in that particular way, like in carnival, in that situation and whatever, and you've approached her and you've invaded her space, and she says no, and you continue to invade her space, obviously that is a major problem. if you invaded her space in the first place and she's then said she's happy with you to invade her space, there's nothing you can do about that. She's now happy to do that. So I can't. It's one of those things where if the person is happy with that situation, they're happy with that situation. You can't really argue it, innit? But if they're not happy and they said to you, you've invaded my space, then you have to then take that into consideration and listen to that person and do that. And I think a lot of people now are saying, yes, you know, you grabbed my arm in a club, which I didn't like, or you did this, which I didn't like. And I completely understand those situations and people being really upset about that. But there are going to be situations where I think the important bit in those situations is how the reaction is once you've told them that you do not like it. Once you've done that.
No.
Hold on, can I finish talking?
Go on.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that, I'm saying that with regards to, I'm not saying that the things they did is okay or acceptable. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying, with regard to what you're saying now, or sorry, what Mr. Wolf was saying, or whichever one of you lot are saying, where the person might have liked it or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you've done that thing. The reaction to that thing that you've done, and I'm not talking about squeezing breast or patting bum or all that stuff. I'm being very specific. Like, maybe try when somebody's trying to walk past you and you may try to just hold her arm to just get her attention and stuff like that. It depends, innit? But if you go and squeeze somebody's breast or squeeze somebody's bum, that is just plain assault, innit? Whether you liked it or not, whether she liked it or not, it is what it is, isn't it? So I suppose that gradient thing is what you're talking about, is kind of what I'm saying.
You say the gradient because I know, there are certain situations and certain girls that wasn't a problem. And it wasn't a problem because of who did it as well. And it's not somebody that me and this person are veterans, or we used to have sex along. It's no, I've seen this person once in a club or something like that, and we chatted. Never done that before, but you know, had a little eye, and then he did it. He did touch my boob, and because I liked him, it was cool. I know. So no. For me, there is a line where it gets to where is the thing that is all right and it's not all right. Can you wind up on a girl in a club or in a carnival? Yes or no? Can you touch a woman's arm? Yes or no? Because there's a line where yes, there's a gradient, but on that gradient, there's a line where it's you cannot do this unsolicited.
Okay, so let's
sorry. This may sound strange, but in the situation you're talking about, Stab, like if we're in the club and whatever. You see us, yeah, and don't
us.
No, I'm going to talk about the fest.
No, don't the fest.
No, I'll have to include the fest because this is a specific situation. Because when we're in the club, we create a vibe, and everybody likes to be around us when we create that vibe. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. We exude excitement, fun, so on and so forth. So in times like that, we will have people gravitate towards us, because they want to be in that environment, in that aura of what we emit as we are. So sometimes in that situation, there may be a young lady that comes up to us and we might get touchy. I'm going to say touchy-feely. Yeah. And in that moment, she'll be consenting. But the minute she switches off or changes her consent, we, the respecting gentlemen we will always hands up, back off, no problem. We know what it is in that environment, in that vibe. We created that vibe sometimes. So I guess with what Stav is saying with the gradient, where does it change if the woman says no and the man still continues because you came and you was happy? What point switches off that you're not happy? Do I have to follow that vibe that you're not happy with?
Do you know what's so funny? Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying because obviously I've known you for a long time and I've been there, whatever. But the way you described that was so sleazy that I actually want to go and have a bath.
Yeah, sorry.
I feel dirty just the way you explained it.
And the thing that makes me laugh, simple, just to go off this, is that it's not all of us, because clearly I don't like to single myself out.
Yes, you do.
I wasn't doing those things. Mr. Wolf, what is the thing that you always tell me?
You don't like women.
Why is that?
Why is that? Men's.
Why is that, Mr. Wolf?
Let's not answer that one.
I don't know, because they just bring trouble with it.
And what do I do when women that I don't know come into my circle?
Yeah, you just back off, mate. Just
Wahala. Let's not pay everyone up because
because man trying to say us. Don't ask me, boy.
Don't say us.
We know that you're slightly different, though.
No. Here's the thing.
I didn't say you, and you.
Look at you, looking like a terrorist. You said
That's right.
He does look like a terrorist, bro.
Listen. Yeah, for not to bait anybody up, but there is no one in my Zoom call right now that hasn't done something that if the woman said I didn't like it, could have been questionable. And I mean no one. I don't want anyone to argue with me before. I don't.
Have a bath. He's going to shower himself. Innit?
I don't want anyone arguing because I don't think you can, and I don't
even remember yesterday.
Yeah, all right, but my point is just don't. Maybe the other people did things more than certain other people, but nobody is.
Oh, don't even bother. He's not cleaning this thing.
No,
that's what he's saying.
I think I am. That's what I'm saying. But if you
are not clean,
all right.
Look at Steph's face. Steph looks like he remembers a time as well.
You know, I had a little flash in my head. It's like I swear there's a picture I've taken of something or another. Yeah, but my point is. It's not that's not the point. The issue is that I'm happy to include myself into the equation and to query it. I think it's problematic potentially to be like, not me. So if I'm saying that potentially, then just
I don't think I've had a situation where, because I don't talk to girls in clubs, I don't grab girls in clubs, I don't tend to dance with people in clubs unless they've come to me. So this is what I'm saying. If you're just having a flashback because of you see me or thinking of me whining with somebody or doing that or whatever, it's going to be almost very unlikely that I've approached that person. And you should know better.
What woman have I approached?
No, I don't know. You just told me that you've been stroking women and you've been touching them. Did you not say that?
Oh my God, this has gone left.
But I'm saying,
in my lifetime.
But I'm saying, I don't do that. I don't do that. So sorry, you can say, oh, you got your thought patterns and your this, that, and the other. And later when we can discuss it, and I bet you when I actually get to the crux of it, it's probably not true. Simple, you're my boy. You know me. So there's people that know me. I hate this way I sound. I hate the way I sound.
Me as your brother doesn't know you.
No, not really, because you tend to always say things around.
There was that one time in Coventry, though, and I'm joking.
when I was accosted by old women.
Yeah.
And what did I do? What did I do when they came for me? Simple.
Run, rabbit, run, rabbit, run.
Exactly. I run, bruv. I run.
All right. Okay. All right.
I run.
Let's move on. R.I.P.
I don't think. Hold on. Before you move on, though, because you were saying something about what you will be chatting to your 13-year-old son, and then that's how we got into that thing in the first place. You didn't really finish.
I did. I said that there are things that I would say. Basically, in essence, then I'm learning. There's so much stuff that I'm learning in the last few years that I hadn't thought of before, and I'm in my 40s now.
So you want to spoke to your son about consent?
Yes. I'll give up, man.
Why are you getting so frustrated? Because you said
because I said all right. I don't look. This is why I said that when you said that there are certain things that they are okay, and I said no. It's not. It's like from what I hear from women, it is not okay. So 5 years ago, if somebody said when you're in a dance, you can go up to a woman and dance to her, and if she says stop, then you stop. I wouldn't. No, I don't think any of us would argue. Now I have to look at my son and be like, you can't do that. You can't even just go up to a woman and start dancing. Like you can't put your thing on her back. No, you have to ask first, or you have to come at the front.
Did a man say put your thing on her back?
Yeah, but if you're dancing on a woman, what is it you're doing? Come on, let's not be childish,
your thing doesn't have to be on her back, brother.
At all, blood.
Yeah, if you're touching a woman and you're dancing back to front, you're not touching her.
Yeah, but you don't have to pull her to the point.
You know what? Can you just let me
man are being pedantic.
Exactly.
You're basically putting hip to hip in it. That's what he means.
Yeah, but he said put your thing on. Listen, there's two.
That's what he means,
if my hip is touching her backside, is my thing? Is it that small that it don't touch her, or what? Is it any of you have a thing that small that it doesn't touch?
I'm saying,
come on, man.
You're talking like gravity. You don't work on your things and that. My things is not all the way up there, bruv. The only time my things will be on a woman's back is if I'm excited.
All right. Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like I'm not.
All right. I'll take it back and I'll change it from just touching a woman, your
bottom
to hip,
to your front
to back. Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Back in the day, yeah, even forget back in the day. A couple of years ago, I would maybe have told my son, yeah, that's cool. If you ask me, can I do that? I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. If she tells you no, though, you back off. You're like, don't ever push an issue. Don't tell her off. Don't screw face her. You got no right to dance with her if she doesn't want to dance with you. But now, if my son asks me, is it all right just to go up and dance? I might tell him no. Like no, because from what I'm seeing now, it does come down to that thing. If she turned around and she liked you, there's every chance she'd be like, she's in the club. She, again, I'm just assuming some people are not going to be happy with this, but there's every chance that she knows that if she's in a club, that men are going to approach her. So she might, if she's approached by a person that she smells nice, looks nice, and whatever, then she might be happy to dance with you, even if that's all she wants to do. When the dance is finished, she might say later. So I might have said, yeah, it's cool. But now it's like, I don't know anymore. Now it's just like, to save any issues, don't even do it. Come at her from the front, not the back, and say, can I dance? Or shout in her ear, you want to dance? And then let her make the decision. Because if you just danced, you've taken that choice away from her.
It's
back in the day,
it's mad how the world has changed, isn't it? Like how our social interaction has changed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Listen,
100.
social distancing has a new meaning now.
No, but back in the day, bashment will come on, slow jams will come on. Yeah. So the slow jams will come on, that you would actually, well, me personally and a lot of my guys will go into the dance floor if we're not there already, and we look for someone to grind with. You get me? You bashment comes on, same thing. You're looking for someone to grind with. You approach a girl. Sometimes you just maybe pull the waist, you come in behind her. One girl may pull away and say no. Another one might push her backside on you. That's the risk that you take. It's like, that was it. It seems like now they may be calling the bouncers on you. I don't know what it's like in the nightclubs nowadays, you know what I mean? But I'm kind of thinking and assuming that it may still be similar, that when bashment comes on or when certain tunes come on. In fact, do you know what am I talking about? I've been to nightclubs recently and I've seen it happen.
I don't doubt that it's similar, but for every 100 women that is cool with it, there's one that no. And then if you meet that one that's no, then all of a sudden your name ends up on it. Because if you do it regularly, and you and you're let's not say for every 100 women, let's say for every 10 women that understand that a man is going to dance with them, and as long as they say no, they're cool with that. I think most women are actually put in that category. A man is going to come and dance with you if you tell him no.
Hold on, Steph. Have you ever seen a man approach a woman to dance? She's kind of like said no, and they've continued to try and dance with her. Because it's almost like an embarrassment where she kind of like says, nah. It's like of course you have. It's like they just stand still.
Nah, bro. I've seen them trying to dance. I've seen them cuss the girl off, make her feel like she's
It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I've seen.
I have to say that I haven't seen it often. Then.
No, I've seen it.
I've definitely seen people cuss her off.
How many weeks ago was it? Mr. Wolf said that he approached the girl at Carnival. She dismissed him very rudely, and then his boy cussed her to the point where she had to run off.
Yeah, but I did not touch her. I just went to speak to her. There was no physical
the interaction didn't end,
and that was about 20
no.
years ago. No. She didn't just say no. She actually verbally abused me, like tried to disrespect me. So with that said, my boy kind of stepped in and said, no, you can't talk to my boy like that.
I think at the time you mentioned, you could have been the 88th person, and she just, it was like, it was the last straw for her. It wasn't,
and that's fine. That is fine. But if someone approaches you with a level of respect, which I did, and then you rebuttal that with disrespect, then somebody may then respond in kind, because I didn't respond. I didn't approach her in any disrespect at all. I didn't touch her. I just went to say hello. How are you doing? That kind of flex.
Let me put it in a situation then. Like I said earlier on, there are times when you can put yourself in a situation, all of a sudden you understand it. We've all been pulled over by the police multiple times. I mentioned last week.
The same thing.
I mentioned last week how I was looking for the episode where we actually went through and talked about it. Now there was a time when I get pulled over by the police. I'm very cordial. I'm very, because I'm never illegal, so it's almost like I just want you to go. So I'm just gonna be as polite as whatever. I'm not like, yeah, hey, how officer, how you doing? But I'm not rude either usually. But the last time or the second to last time I got pulled over, I decided, I'm fed up today. So that was it. So I was very cocky with the policeman, up to the point when I think I gave the story. This was in Elephant and Castle on the roundabout. He pulled me over just outside there about 2 a.m. in the morning. I was leaving a birthday party from somebody from Not Everyday Podcast, actually, so shout them out. And he pulled me over, and I wasn't polite to the person. I was very cocky. So by the time the 25 to half an hour minute interaction ended, the man was vexed with me. He was vexed with me, and he said, "I'll forget you then," and he left. And I was laughing at him. And I was with somebody else. I won't mention any names, but husband of a very popular podcaster, and he was there basically watching because he was walking home. He saw me in a party, and he stood by and watched the whole thing. And when they left, we were all laughing because I frazzled the policeman to the point where he didn't even get my license. He tried to get my license the whole time. I didn't even give it to him. I gave him a fake license, and we were arguing backwards and forwards. And I know why did you give him a fake license? Because I was fed up. I was fed up. He was a straw.
That's fine.
I
And that's fine for you to be fed up, but he could have taken it somewhere else, innit?
He could have, yeah, definitely. Even when he left, I was
That's what I'm
surprised
saying.
because I wasn't surprised because I'm not usually that cocky, and it worked anyways. Like I said, he left. But,
Yeah, but
Go on.
so sorry, Mr. Wolf. The point that's being made though is that
I get it.
even if you come forward as the most cordial person, if somebody has already endured 88 or 89 other people, and you're the 90th person that's come through, and the rest of them have all either not been cordial or they've been impolite, or just the fatigue of having to process those 89 people, even if you come through polite, like you might still get a response.
I get that. I really do. But what you have to do is that you have to understand the person that is on the receiving end. I don't know what has happened to you in the past 2 hours or the past 3 hours. You may have gone through hell. You understand? The issue at hand here is that I'm not there. If I've come and I've grabbed your arm and my brethren would have seen that and then she cussed, he wouldn't have said nothing. If I would have maybe tried to go and grind her and then she would have stopped and said something, he wouldn't have said anything. The mere fact that I approached in the manner that I did, the way that we should, the way that you're going to teach your son to approach a woman, that's how I done it. And then it was met with a level of disrespect that he didn't like.
My thing is, I don't have a problem with your approach. What I probably have more of an issue with is the response from your brethren. Now, I know you can't control your brethren's response, but I think we collectively need to get to a place where we are now, you're the first level where you've come through respectfully. The second level now is your brethren also need to come with the same respect, in the sense that we can turn that kind of interaction around and not make it be a cussing session against a woman. We can turn that session, that occasion around and be a supportive element to that.
I don't think any of us will support someone who is lambasting one of us.
Listen,
I can't see that happening.
I'm slightly with in the box with Mr. Wolf here. Yeah, listen, maybe because I'm one of those people. I understand that things happen to you in the day. I understand that you could have had a lot of people come to you disrespectfully. I can understand a whole lot of things. But if I approach you respectfully, if I approach you with respect and you come back with disrespect, then as far as I'm concerned, you're being disrespectful to me. Regardless of what reasons you have, regardless of what things in the past has happened to you regarding that, I don't know. All I'm going to receive is somebody being very disrespectful towards me. Now, I know Mr. Wolf as Mr. Wolf. I know he's a very respectful person. Hence the reason why he wasn't even the person that was disrespectful back to the woman, because of the level of respect that Mr. Wolf actually has. But I can understand why somebody who is Mr. Wolf's friend, after knowing Mr. Wolf, who's been very respectful and he's a very respectful person, would like to say to that person, "Are you mad? Who are you talking to? The person's been very respectful towards you." I don't co-sign this being okay to be disrespectful to somebody. I don't co-sign it. If somebody comes to approach you respectfully, I expect you to speak to that person respectfully back. There is no, "Oh, you approached me, you've come to talk to me, so I should now just be able to abuse you." Nah, that's not the case. It shouldn't work that way.
I would just like to point out, this is coming from the person that once he loses his temper, nobody can tell him nothing. He's very rude once you lose it. And then you expect people to understand, can't you see that I'm not in the right frame of mind?
No, but this is the thing. If you came to me respectfully, I wouldn't just lose it, would I? You've come to me with a disrespect. That's why I'm vexed in the first place.
I'm saying you could be vexed with me, and then all of a sudden somebody else is talking to you and be like, "Calm down, Wahala," and you'll shout at that person. Well, you wouldn't normally shout at them, and you understand that shouting at them is rude. But because you're angry, all of a sudden now you're shouting at that
I don't think I do that often. I think I do that to you. I don't think
somebody else talks. Then
I'm laughing at Stavros' reaction. That's all. I'm not laughing at the fact that that's what.
That's an actual meme.
Okay, so no, let's have this discussion then. Do I do that openly? Am I an abusive person? If I'm having a fight with Stavros, do I then go and start abusing Simple Simon? Do I then start abusing Mr. Wolf? Do I then start abusing Webslinger?
Do you?
Simple Simon, represent your friend. Simple Simon, represent.
No, I want to be honest.
But he didn't say that. What he said was, if you are in that state of frame of mind, even if it is that you're upset with him, if someone comes who's not even part of the argument and says to you to calm down, it is likely that you would turn and face that person with the same volume and veracity that you were facing Stav with.
But would I be abusive?
It's in the heat of the moment, so yeah, it could happen.
So
you do realize it's a completely different scenario, though, isn't it? Like the young lady was not in a state of rage. She was actually enjoying herself.
Can you answer Wahala's question, please?
Okay. Well, the last time that I saw Big Wahala really, really vexed, I can't even remember. Do you know what? The last time I can remember seeing him extremely vexed, he actually listened to me. The last time that I can remember, and that was at that Nigerian restaurant on Brixton Hill. Remember when we all went down there and they kind of messed up our order? We ordered food.
Bro, that's like 10 years ago.
I know, but I cannot remember a time when he actually lost it to the point where it was difficult to calm him down.
The last time I remember,
Mr. Wolf, my boy, Mr. Wolf. Tell him, Mr. Wolf.
I can't remember those stuff.
Yes. Yes.
If you could remind me, maybe I wasn't there in it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying.
Go on, Simple.
The last time I remember Wahala losing it was I think we was at Rum Punch or something, and we come upstairs and I can't remember what some strange people completely strange to us, and I can't remember what it was over, but I know that Wahala wanted to go for one of them, and I'm trying to stop him, and he was literally walking through me. And I'm like, yo, Wahala, allow it, man. No,
right, coach.
And I had slick bottom shoes on, so I had no grip. And I was literally, I swear to you, I was literally hands on shoulders with him, and he was just walking forward. And a man like me was sliding across the floor. It looked like I was doing the moonwalk, sliding across the floor. And he was like, nah. I was like, nah, okay.
Nah, the last time you saw me lost it was in football with that guy.
Oh, yeah, but okay, yeah, okay. But that time.
But did I lose it at anyone else when they came?
Yeah, that time wasn't the same.
For me, the question is not when the last time you've seen Wahala lose it. The question is, but which I don't answer anymore. Let's just leave it. It's not an issue.
He listened to me.
If Wahala, because you mentioned one example, I know there are other examples.
It's only you that I don't listen to.
No, I actually know there are examples when Mr. Wolf has got vexed with Wahala because he switched. Anyways, let's move on. We have
this
other
man's
topics.
memory that's so bad. Always when it's something bad against me, he seems to remember every instance. Have you noticed that? Ask him what happened yesterday. I can't remember. What did Wahala do 2 years ago? He was touching girls. He was screaming at man.
Yeah. Wahala, you got some question that was sent in from somebody.
Oh, okay. Do you want me to say the question? All right, cool.
Yeah, man. Yeah, because we ain't got much longer, anyways.
Okay.
How long have you been recording? Man?
I don't know. There's no time on here. I'm aiming to stop for about midnight, and then knowing that we ain't gonna stop until about 1:45. But if I aim for midnight, then cool.
Let me find the questions. All right, so I got a couple questions, but let's start off with this one. So this was about songs, song type things. Somebody's breathing heavy. This is about songs and the length of songs. So the question was 2-minute songs versus the old 4 to 5 minute songs. I don't enjoy the 2-minute songs because they lack the content and build up. What is our thoughts on the difference between the new age songs that last a couple of minutes to the old school songs that last quite a few minutes?
I don't even know songs that last.
That's not even the question you were talking about, is it?
No, it's there. Somebody sent that in it.
Yeah, but we need to talk about the other one that they sent into the Instagram. But carry on, anyway.
Go on, Wolf.
Yeah, go on, Mr. Wolf.
No, I was just saying that personally, I cannot think of tunes that last like 2 minutes. Like I've been listening to albums, man, and they just got regular songs like 3 to 5 minutes.
All right,
it can't be commonplace, surely.
I got one example. Do you remember when Kanye West had that mad summer where he did 5 albums or something like that, and they were all under 10 tracks. Do you remember that? He did one for himself, one with Kid Cudi. What's his name? Pusha T had one, Tiana Taylor had one, and Nas had one.
Yeah, the 7-track albums or whatever it was.
The 7-track albums. I think that the Tiana Taylor one was the one that probably pissed me off the most with this formatting, because the songs on there, some of them were literally like 2 minutes or what have you. And even she was vexed with them because she was like, that's not how the format of a song usually goes. So I don't know. I don't feel like a 2-minute song can unless it's, what's that? I don't know what that is.
That is Old Town Road. One of the biggest songs of whatever year it came out. In fact, not one of.
Ain't the biggest song of all time.
It's the biggest song of all time. 2 minutes 37 seconds.
What, Little Nas X?
Yeah.
Is that the biggest song of all time?
It was number one for the longest time now. It's the broken record.
Fucking hell.
In
How
America.
long was it number one for? Oh, it's in America. Okay.
About
long
17
time.
weeks or something like that, isn't it? Something
Okay, so then beat Bryan Adams with that Robin Hood song from them.
Yeah,
Bruv.
yeah,
He was.
yeah.
That Robin Hood song was the one forever. And I can't,
Bruv.
You know it's true.
everything I do
I do it for
you.
Anyways, it beat that. It didn't even hit 2 minutes, 3/4 of a second, 3/4 of a minute. There are plenty of songs like it. I think the reason that Mr. Wolf is not on that flex is because maybe the artists he listens to don't bring out 2 minutes, 30-second songs, but they are blatantly, there's an increase, and it's those newer artists doing different types of music that you may not be a fan of that make music that's long. I used to not like it, but now once I realize that if it's because it's music that it's bubblegum music. It's very disposable.
I was going
music.
to say that. Yeah, I was going to say that.
So because it's disposable,
It's not
I'm cool with it.
Motown.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. I didn't like it before, but because I was the old grumpy hip hop head in the club. But now I realize that Lil Nas X song, I enjoy it. I know there are people that don't like it. I like it. It's fun, and when it finishes, I can happily rewind it and play it again. And but I take it for what it is. It's a pop song.
Can you imagine fella making a 2 minute, 30 minutes?
I was thinking about fella tunes, you know.
Fella would have said 2 minutes. Ah, that would be 2 minutes of him just going, ah, ding, end. What, you wait to get to the lyrics. Just play the horn for 2
That's
minutes.
what I'm saying.
So what are we saying? We're saying that this is a matter of the times, yeah? Are we saying that the
It's
times
for the
are
streams, isn't it? It's for the streams. It's made for the streams. So the quicker the song, the more streams you'll be able to do on it. If you do the long song, it's unlikely you're gonna rewind that song and play it again. But if you got a 2 minute and a half song, it's easier for you to stream and it's quick.
How do they count streams? Though? Do they count streams as one unique listen, or do they count the replays?
I think they count each stream as a unique listen, but I just don't know how they do it.
I've got something that I want to ask if we finish here.
Go for
Okay.
it.
I'm assuming that you guys are really on Twitter and kind of frequent there, especially with what's been going on in the last couple of months or the last couple of weeks or 3 or 4 weeks or what have you. But what do you know about the J. Cole story?
Yeah, I know almost all of it about this J. Cole story.
Okay, so J. Cole, a lady apparently had called out
Noname.
A lady called Noname, or
She's a rapper.
The rapper, okay. And she called out certain woke artists who have been pretty silent with the whole injustices that has been going on with our brother Floyd that passed away and a few others that died, and in the past really. And she kind of like called them out, and J. Cole decided to write a song about it, and she responded. I want to know what you guys think about that. If I haven't explained it properly, Big Ohala, please do so.
I kind of blanked out.
Who, me?
No, me.
Okay.
All right. So you was rather quick. So basically, I know that what you're saying, right? Yeah, she made a tweet to say basically, I don't see a lot of these woke rappers, conscious rappers. They don't tend to be out here promoting the situation that's going on right now. So she was talking regarding the obviously revolution and Black Lives Matter situation.
Mm-hmm.
J. Cole took quite offense to this, and he made a song called Something in the Snow. I can't remember what it's actually called. Stab, if you can find it, that'd be great. But it's called Something in the Snow anyway. And in the song, he basically made a retort to this particular tweet, and he was basically saying, you know, I know that you're an educated woman. I can tell by the way that you speak and the way that you write that you're a very educated woman, probably more educated than a lot of us. But I don't like your queen tone and how you speaking to some of us that don't know a bit more about the situation than you do. Sorry, excuse me. And he's like, you know, instead of you speaking down towards us, maybe you should take up the mantle of educating us. You know, I've got a degree, but I've still got average IQ. I'm not the smartest of people. Can you, you know, educate us rather than putting us down?
You're paraphrasing his lyrics, isn't it?
Yeah. And then she's come back with have you heard her song?
I have, and that was like a minute and a half, innit? So that's kind of what reminded me of like a short version of a song.
What did she say? Because I haven't heard her come back.
She basically came back.
Find it.
Yeah, if you can find that, would be great. But she basically came back and said, your egos, basically she's basically saying your egos coming in, getting involved. Instead of you to come and chat about the actual situation that's going on, the first thing that you want to come back and chat about after no one's heard you for ages about my little tweet from a woman to try and basically put me down and tell me to put me in my place rather than actually dealing with the matter at hand. So she was basically saying what the timeline was saying is, no one ain't heard from you all this time. No one ain't seen you rap about anything all this time. Instead of you to rap about the situation that's going on, the thing that triggered you to come and make a rap is because I said that what rappers aren't doing anything.
Let me. She responded as we're recording. Sunday night.
I've seen that.
She sent a tweet and it says, "This is Noname. I sent this tweet midday around American time Sunday."
And I think she responded to the fact that the people may have been commenting on her
I don't like black
track.
I don't. No, she said I don't think she was talking about the time of the track. I think it was the content of the track. She said, "I've been thinking a lot about it, and I am not proud of myself for responding with song 33. I tried to use it as a moment to draw attention back to the issues I care about, but I didn't have to respond. My ego got the best of me. I apologize for any further distraction this caused. Madlib killed the beat, and I see there's a lot of people that resonate with the words, so I'm leaving it up. But I'll be donating my portion of the song's earnings to various mutual aid funds, Black Radical Unity." J. Cole's song is called Snow on the Bluff, by the way.
Can I play the track?
How short is it?
It's a minute and 9 seconds.
No, because it'll probably get taken down now. So
okay,
we're going on YouTube.
I'll play 20 seconds then.
Just don't play it. That's what he's trying to say.
You play tunes all the time. Why can I not play this?
Because he didn't hear what he just said.
No, he's in it here because he doesn't listen. I said, we're putting this on YouTube.
I want to play it. I want to play it.
This is going on YouTube. It could get taken down.
It's not fair. I want to play it.
By the way,
why don't you just say the lyrics?
Fuck you, you bastard.
You don't get to play it. I want to play it.
Gav, you're out of sync now. You're out of sync with the video, by the way.
You're a bastard for that, you know.
No, but that is how it sounded like.
Timid.
I'm thinking, fucking hell, man. I just want to play the track, innit? No, listen. I said that I would get the track. And then you said, fine, go find the track. I'll find the track. Don't play the track. I was thinking, what the fuck, man?
I think maybe he forgot, obviously, that it might be a different situation. But the lyrics are up there somewhere if you wanted to read them. So that's not a problem.
Read it that simple track.
I did think that also.
Sorry, I forgot. But it seems Bashment people are not good with they're doing stuff like that.
Their licensing agreement.
You get me?
No, by the way, that man, bed, yeah.
They don't care, man.
Anyway.
Is there something in the lyrics that is specific you want heard?
Yeah, but I can't remember the lyrics. That's why I wanted to play it.
I saw a demon on my shoulder. It's looking like patriarchy. It's like scrubbing blood off the ceiling and bleaching another carpet. How my house got haunted. Why Toyin body don't embody all the life she wanted. A baby, just 19. I know I dream all black. I seen her everything. Immortalizing tweets, all caps. They say they found her dead. But N-words in the back, quiet as church mouse. Basement studio when duty calls to get the verse out. I guess the ego hurt now. It's time to go to work. Wow, look at him go. You really about to write about me when the world is in smoke? When it's people in trees, when George was begging for his mother, saying he couldn't breathe, you thought to write about me. But little did I know, all my reading would be a bother. It's trans women being murdered, and this is all he can offer, and this is all you'll receive. Distancing from the convo with the organizers. They're talking about abolishing the police and this new world order. We democratizing Amazon. We burn down borders. This new vanguard. I'm the new vanguard. Which part of that did you want known, bro?
I can't remember now.
Whatever happened, she
Sound
finished.
better if I could play it.
No, she did. But what do we think about J. Cole? Like, what are you doing, bro? You know, for me, I would have defended him specifically because whenever it comes to these kind of things, he seems to be out there quite a lot.
What?
And I'm talking about over the years. I remember he done one track on one of his albums that really resonated with a lot of people. The live version that he'd done on the Tonight Show, on one of the New York chat shows. It is a serious performance, which really resonated to a lot of people. So he's made tracks, he's spoken out, he said bits and pieces. Even during this issue, he's been on the front line. So why he kind of took offense to what she said kind of baffled me. Maybe he felt that, look, I'm doing all these things. How could you say that we're not doing this? You know, he should have known better, man.
I think
I'm quite disappointed in him.
The reason why he took offense to it is because it's something that's actually thrown at him quite often.
Okay.
That is very quiet online on social media when certain things happen. Him and Kendrick, they both get it. When
I
stuff
think
is,
she was talking about him though.
yeah, I think you should talk about him.
It
as
wasn't
well.
one of those things where she
Him
said
and
it
Kendrick.
randomly. It wasn't. She said it randomly, and he just took a bait that wasn't meant for him.
Okay,
I think
so-
it was actually aimed at him.
For
She
him.
didn't. I don't think she ever denied she was talking about him.
I think it's him and Kendrick. I think it was the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
The two of them.
Okay,
But
so what are we saying? Are we saying that, in
I
your
need to get the original
opinions,
tweet. Actually.
in your opinions, gentlemen, are we saying that those two rappers specifically, who are the new school, new age conscious rappers, do you think that they should be doing more or saying more or what?
I don't know about tweets. I'm not a man that's about tweets. Them man are on the front line, and them man are putting money in pockets of certain situations, from what I've heard. So as long as they're doing that, then I don't know if tweets need to be what needs to happen. One thing that he said that I think is quite applicable to these types of situations.
In his lyrics.
Yeah, his lyrics is that, and his tweets after, because he wrote more tweets after as well in response to the situation.
Okay.
I'm not the most educated person on this subject, so if I don't know something, I don't go around talking about it. I don't know what I should say is correct. I don't know what I could say is wrong. In these situations and these times, look how many people have got it wrong. Look how many people have said, were so fast to run and open their mouth to say something and got it wrong. So he's saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what I'm meant to do in these types of situations. I don't know what is the best thing for me to say. So I say nothing, which is fine. I know where I've got on the front line. I've helped out in that the way that I know that I can, but I'm not the best person to speak about these things. You are. That's what he was basically saying to her. You are the best person to speak about these things. And with that, you should maybe teach some of us how to speak about these things that don't know. So I completely understand somebody not wanting to get involved on being the person that speaks out about situations without, knowing. This is exactly the same thing that happened with Dave Chappelle. Remember Dave Chappelle? We talked about Dave Chappelle last week. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But Dave Chappelle, in that whole thing, he said that he didn't want to speak because he didn't think he was the best person or he was the best person to speak. Obviously, he did come out and say some stuff, and people resonated with it. But again, even him, people said didn't get it right. People were complaining about what he said as well, because he mentioned the killing of black men and didn't mention the killings of black women. Not once did he mention the killings of black women in that whole show. So again, even though he came out thinking he was doing something well and doing something the correct way, people were rightly there to critique him and say, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. So if you don't know what you're saying, or you don't think you got the best avenues or the best information to spread, then sometimes the best thing for you to do is to shut your mouth, especially if you've got millions and millions and millions of followers that's going to do whatever you tell them to do.
Can I ask you a question?
Damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. Go ahead.
Based on that, can I ask you a question, Wahala? Do you think Gary Lineker and his joke was just a joke and it should be left all right? Or do you think that
You have to tell the joke.
he's disrespectful? So yeah, the joke basically, Gary Lineker put out a tweet that said, obviously, for people that don't know around the world, the Premiership, the English Premier League, which is our soccer or football league, has just recently started over the past week. And after the first day of games, Gary Lineker put out a tweet that basically said, I had £10 on Black Lives Matter scoring first. Now, to understand the mechanism of the joke, you have to first...
Simple. I'm very sorry to stop you, but because Webslinger said what he said, can you let him talk first before you say what you're saying?
You're a bastard, you know that? Go on, Webs.
You know what? I you know me. I'm not a football person, and I didn't hear the joke or follow it at all. And I'm trying to understand where his mind was, where he said what he said.
Okay.
And just why I said that's just fuckeries.
Okay.
Yeah, flesh it out, bruv. Carry on.
Why is it so bad?
All right. In what context did that come about?
He wrote a tweet.
Well done.
No.
You've asked the right question.
Mr. Wolf, let you off the hook, blood. Go on, Simple, continue.
No, but I was still asked what context did the joke come in. So Simple has to finish that for me.
Yeah, so he wrote that tweet, and basically, in honor of the Black Lives, or in solidarity or support of the Black Lives Matter movement, all of the jerseys or shirts that the players wear usually have their name scribed across the back from shoulder to shoulder. And now in place of their name is the words Black Lives Matter. So his joke was directly to do with that.
Okay. But was each team wearing a Black Lives Matter jersey, or was it just one team?
Every single player, including the goalkeeper.
How are you supposed to know then who scored first?
Yeah,
Black Lives Matter scored first, bro.
So yeah, but
We won!
my question is though to Wahala, is how did you feel about that joke? Were you all right with it? And
I find it funny. I find it extremely funny because it's a joke. And because I know the person that it's coming from has been very, very active.
I was about to say.
Very active online with the Black Lives Matter movement. It's been very, very active in
very vocal
and support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Better than John Barnes.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, I have not seen him. From what I've seen from him, I don't see it as him trying to be offensive or rude. I didn't take it in that way. But that's because I know where the joke came from. If I wasn't watching football and I just said somebody says I bet you Black Lives Matter scores first, right? And I didn't know that everyone had the Black Lives Matter on the back of their shirt, I might think he's just talking about a random black, like Rashford or whatever, is going to score first. Then yeah, maybe I could get offended. But if I know that, there is no way I'm going to get offended by that. I'm going to laugh because it's funny.
All right,
it's a joke.
Do you know, I would say, because we touched on this topic previously about where we think social influencers, people that are in the limelight and have this power, where they should stand and whether they should comment, come forward, say something, add to the movement of certain situations. And we're still talking about this topic. So are we saying they should say something in solidarity, or they should keep their mouth shut and not assert their influential power, so it may be?
No, for me, in this particular case, I still felt a ways about it. I understood the mechanics of the joke. I understand why it's funny, but I still felt a ways about it.
Why?
And part of the reason why I felt a ways about it is because I think it was
white.
No, it's not even that. It's because I think it was last week. Yeah, it was
didn't
last
share
week.
his crisps.
It was you joker. It was last week, yeah, when we had a discussion. I think we were talking about Dave Chappelle. We spoke about Dave Chappelle last week, right? Last episode, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Right. So we had the conversation, and to paraphrase it, we was asking the question of whether or not Dave Chappelle has transcended comedy and is now in some other kind of space. I think we came to the conclusion that Griot would be a fair assessment of where he currently lies at the moment. Yeah. So from my point of view, a man like Dave Chappelle, who is, I would say, very, very clued up on the situation, puts out how long was it? 40-minute Netflix special.
28 minutes, I think.
28 minutes Netflix special. and he didn't tell any jokes because he said it
jokes.
was again. Let me land. Like he didn't tell jokes in the sense of this is a comedy special, and he actually said on the things like, I don't really want to even tell any jokes because it's not the time for joking. It's not the time to laugh. It's not the subject to joke about. So from my point of view, somebody who is as erudite and astute as Dave Chappelle is, who we can argue is like, within our era, one of the best comedians out there, sees that this is not a situation to infuse or inject comedy in his wisdom. And then you got someone like Gary Lineker who thinks that it's all right.
But he did make jokes though.
What, in that 28-minute special?
He did make jokes. He made jokes about the interracial couples that was there, about them feeling uncomfortable. He made jokes. As much as he made jokes about the woman, the woman that told him to shut up and dribble. He made jokes. Regardless of whether or not the whole content of the actual special itself was serious, he made jokes. So this he never made jokes thing needs to stop. He made jokes.
You have to understand what I'm saying though. He did.
I understand what you're saying. He made jokes though.
The thing that he made jokes about wasn't about the subject. Those were ancillary to the subject.
No, I need to go watch it back again, but he made jokes. Regardless of whether or not you want to say that the special was serious and he didn't make jokes about the man losing his life or blah, 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 fine. But he still made jokes. He still made jokes. And this was not a joke about somebody losing their lives, was it? It was a joke about a betting joke where he's saying, I bet that the first person to score is going to have Black Lives, is going to be Black Lives Matter. It's not because the person itself is a black person or anything to do with race or to do with the actual situation. It's a joke on the play of the fact that everybody is wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. It's something that is. He's not being malicious. He's not being harmful. Again, you can say that it's not something to joke about, but he's not joking about the actual situation, is he? He's joking about a football.
I understand the mechanism of the joke, but you can't say that he's not joking about the situation, because the situation has meant that Black Lives Matter is written on the back of everyone's shirt. There has been no other situation up until today that I can remember where people's names have been removed off their shirt and some other cause has been put on the back.
Okay, so let's say that he was
so it's directly related to the cause.
If he said, "I bet you somebody that I'm going to put a bit on that the person that's wearing that scores has got NHS on their shirt," would you have been offended by that?
No, probably not.
But why? Well, there's millions of people that's died on the front line, and these people are putting themselves on the front line and dying by corona. Should we be making jokes about that?
Again, these people who have died from corona, not that I don't appreciate them, I do. They have done so in the line of duty, in the line of justice. It's like,
should we make jokes about that? Simple.
I'm not saying that we should necessarily make jokes about it, but they've died in the line of justice. The people, as far as Black Lives Matter is concerned, they haven't died in the line of justice. They've died in the line of existence. Yeah, it's very different. It's very different being a person, a human being, and you've died just because of attributes about yourself that you can't control. But it's very different from going into your line of work and you happen to die in your line of work. That's why I don't feel no way for soldiers, for example.
But a lot of the people in the NHS feel like they've been forced to go into their jobs, to go and forced to go into the hospitals and forced to be nurses and because they may lose their jobs. So yeah, they're you're saying it's injustice, but some of them are not wanting to go in and they're being forced to go in.
But they've chosen the profession. And
when you've chosen the profession?
But when you've chosen the profession, there comes a certain amount of
I'm not having that one.
No, there's a certain so you're going to tell me now that a soldier can come to you and moan.
I'm not talking about a soldier. I'm talking about a nurse, somebody that's in a hospital that is now putting their life in danger because one, there's not putting any funding for masks and gloves that they didn't know was going to happen. Two, they've been told that if they have to come in, even if they feel like they shouldn't, they've been told they have to come in, and they've now putting themselves on the front line to help people like you, me, our grandparents, our moms, our dads to do this matter because no one else can do it. So if we was to say the same joke about the NHS thing, and you shouldn't be offended by that because these people are putting themselves on the front line, the Black Lives Matter situation is a movement, and it's about obviously talking about the fact that black people should have the correct, be looked at the same way as every other life. Yeah, I completely understand that. But he's talking about something on the back of somebody's shirt. He's not talking about the movement. He's not belittling the movement. He's not making it seem like it's anything stupid. Some people might even say by him making this tweet, he might be highlighting the movement. It depends on how you want to look at it. So if there's no problem with one, I can't see how you can have a problem with the other. That's me personally. I don't know about you, Mr. Wolf.
And no, I'm kind of with you, and you got to kind of look at his previous tweets with relation to the Black Lives Matter movement. He's made a lot of noise with reference to it, and even castrated the government for their handling of the rioters or people protesting. Sorry, and like the EDL, for example, that situation that took place a couple of weeks ago. I know that Priti Patel was quick to call Black Lives Matter protesters out, and then when it was the EDL guys, she said it was a small minority, and Gary Lineker was very, very quick to tell her about herself. He basically said last week, you didn't speak about minorities. This week, when it comes to the EDL, you're talking about minorities when it was anything but minorities. So when you look at his history, when it comes to the said subject of Black Lives Matter, even the NHS and various other different topics, you know that he's on side. You get me?
So you're saying,
but I understand why some people feel away, but personally, I do not.
So you're saying, so let me ask you guys a follow-up question then. Same joke, exactly the same joke, but tweeted by Tommy Robinson. Problem or no problem?
Of course it is, because you know that Tommy Robinson is coming from a place of harm. He's coming from a place where he's not for us. He's very, very much against us.
So what you're saying basically is that you're inviting Gary Lineker to the cookout.
I am inviting Gary Lineker to the cookout.
I'm not inviting Gary Lineker to no damn place. And if Tommy Robinson wrote the thing, I would probably say it's a joke same way. It's a joke. It's a joke regardless, but he's just got malicious intent behind his joke.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. You know what I mean? For me, look, I've said certain things about our counterparts that are not black skin before. You get me? Not everybody is. And this is kind of similar to the question that I raised last week about those people who kind of have seen this as a light bulb moment and who are reaching out and actually trying to change, trying to do something that is different to what they've done before. And if these people are looking to do that change, I'm like, thumbs up, you go ahead and you do your thing.
One thing I could say about Gary Lineker is that he's
been consistent.
And I said this in a previous podcast. Gary Lineker played for Spurs, right? I'm an Arsenal boy. I've been ingrained to hate Gary Lineker, right, from the beginning to this time. Gary Lineker is probably my favorite person, football related, for his comments on Twitter, because he's always on the side of the oppressed. He's always on the side of the minorities. He's always on the side of what I believe is the right thing. I've never seen him discuss anything where I'm like, Gary Lineker, I think you're wrong here. I have never seen it. It might happen. There might be things out there, so people can show me. I have no problems in reading it, but I've never seen him go to a position where I'm like, I don't agree with him. Whether it's about the government, whether it's about race, whether it's about the oppressed, all of those situations, I've never really seen him go wrong. So that's maybe why I've got I'm a guy in there to see because I went to go get food, you know. I've gone to maybe say, you know what, it's cool, and I'm not necessarily against it.
Can you imagine if I'd done that?
And yes, I could imagine the drama.
Oh
but Stav, what do you think of this situation as you just walked off to go and get food?
Yeah, but because I'm on my hands free, it's about where I go. I can hear you people.
But we're gonna hear you breathing all over the mic now when you eat.
That's why there's a mute. I agree with you, Wahala, and you, Mr. Wolf. I do not agree with Simple, or I don't know where Webbs is now. Well, he's actually disappeared, but I don't know if his views have changed or whatever. But I see the point of the joke is a joke, and I like the question Simple said, as like, are you inviting him to the cookout? Because if Tommy Robinson said it, then what? So I'll go. I think that's a bit more controversial. It's a bit harder to answer. No, I'm not inviting anyone to the cookout. It's same question as same answer as Wahala, really.
If I know it, okay, I'm going on the base that I actually know the guy and he's my friend.
No one get invited to my cookout.
I'm not going to invite a stranger to someone that I don't know.
No, you need to stop begging white savers, bro.
No, there's got
let me answer. Go on.
If I know a white man and he is my friend and I'm cool with him,
he's my friend.
I would invite him to my cookout or to my park parties. I do park parties, innit?
That's what I do. The EDL.
Pardon?
What if he came with the EDL?
But then he won't be my friend, would he? It's like I would know that part about him, innit? But if somebody like you've described Gary Lineker, like you obviously don't know him, but you're speaking about what he's done in the past in terms of his views to certain subjects and certain situations, innit?
Listen,
If my friend was like that, and I would assume that my friend would be like that, otherwise he won't be my friend. He would be similar, and he would have a kind of similar mindset. If he's a white guy and he's cool, then why wouldn't I invite him down to my thing?
I'm sick of this.
I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said, Mr. Wolf. It's the terminology in and of itself of inviting people to the cookout. I don't agree with. In a person-to-person state.
Well, is that like a Twitter term or something?
Yes, it's a term. It's a term.
Okay,
and
well,
when you invite
nothing
somebody to the
about that
cookout,
shit, man.
what you're
Fucking hell.
saying is, all right. So what you're saying when you invite someone to the cookout is basically what you said. This person aligns with us. You know, he has the same views as us, or in fact, most of the problem is that sometimes they don't actually have the same views as us, or they don't align with us. They just do our music, or they just dress like us, or they just talk like us, or they hang in
dance,
or they hang in our circles, or they can talk a bit of Yoruba. And because of that, all of a sudden, they're one of us. They invite to the cookout until you see their true colors later on down the line. It's like this person never did actually align with us.
True color shining through.
So what you said, Mr. Wolf, is if you've met somebody in your personal life, you know, you've know them well enough to feel their views align with mine, and when I'm doing something, a social thing, I want them around because they're the same as every other friend. Good, no problem with that, and I don't disagree with that. But just this term of inviting someone to cookout, potentially that I don't know who this person is. I've just seen them online, or I've seen them on TV, or I've heard them on the radio. Nah, it's all good. I can like your music, I can like your fashion, I can like your you know whatever, but that's all. That's where it ends for me. So that's that. Any other topics?
Can I get this one topic off quickly before we go? We're talking on Father's Day because it's a Father's Day situation. So yeah, I was thinking about all of these situations and all of these things that we're discussing regarding gender and equality and whatnot. And a question came to me, and I was wondering how you guys would answer. So I was thinking about So imagine you guys have all got daughters anyway, apart from me and Webbs, we're the ones that's childless. But imagine that you had, and well, Mr. Wolf actually does have a son and a daughter. But imagine that you had a son and a daughter. So you now get to a point where you need to then write your will. This man's getting up and down. People would go crazy if he was doing this. Right. So you now get to a point where you're writing your last will and testament, right? And you then have to decide what you're going to leave to your children, right? Would you ever consider leaving your daughter a little bit more than your son, because if it's the current gender situation that we are at now, because of maybe the situation where you know that women are more likely to have issues with gender pay gaps in maybe higher paid jobs? It's unlikely you're going to see a lot of women in higher positions than men. Obviously, patriarchy allows men to find the world a lot easier and tend to be able to get certain jobs easier than women, because of the fact that they're men. Would you ever consider leaving your daughter a little bit more than your son because you think your son's got an easier ride than the daughter does? Start off with Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, go on, Mr. Wolf.
Why? Why me? Because
my microphone, my microwave is going to make a sound in a minute, and I want to be on mute when it happens.
Oh boy, it's a tough question, you know. I did read it when you posted it, and I haven't given it much thought. Normally when the question pops in, it's a straightforward answer. I can answer it. To me, there's no guarantees. I know that women are most likely to earn more than men. Men are more likely to earn more than women. My mistake. We know that is the case. That's just a matter of fact. It's not even a debate. But I know enough black women that are earning a mad wage, a lot more than a lot of brothers that I know.
Okay. And how hard did they have to work to be able to get to that level? What did they need to go through?
For me, from what I know of them, and some of
Mhm.
them are my really good friends. One of them's one of my really, really good friends. I don't think that she worked any harder than the next man did.
Have you ever asked her?
You understand? I haven't. I will ask her, but I know her quite well. I know her background. I know how she got the job. I know when she got the job. She's been in the job for about maybe about 15 years now, maybe even longer than that. You know, I know the whole background behind it. And she studied, she went to uni, she applied for a job, she got the job, she done well, she got promoted, and boom. You understand? It kind of worked the way how it should work, per
But
se.
how many people around her might have been promoted that you didn't know got promoted before her that have done less than her, and she might have been the third or
I
fourth
don't
in line?
know. I don't know the ins and outs of her
Understand?
job, but I'm saying that I believe, and I think I mentioned it in an early podcast this year. I know that there's enough women that are doing really well and that are doing better than men.
Yeah, of course. There's
Women
many.
doing better than a lot of black men, doing better than just men in general. There's women who have achieved amazing things, and sometimes, yes, they've had to work twice as hard, maybe, and they've had to do maybe things that we don't need to do. But there are some women who have just gone through the grade in a manner that a man would go through the grade or go through the process, you know. So for me, it's a very, very hard question to answer. I don't know how I'm going to answer. I think personally, just if I had to stick my neck out, it wouldn't be any extra. It would be just as much as I would give my son, an equal amount.
All right, I'll be quick, and I'll say the same. I'm not giving her any different than the boy. Thank you.
Next.
And yeah, I will never even looked at it the way you brought it up. And then when you brought it up, I just dismissed it. When I saw the question, I just dismissed it. And that is taking into account what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing that it's harder for women, etc., etc. But that's her problem, not mine. Basically.
Another thing that I thought about as well, because it wasn't just even the work thing. I always thought about this situation when they say that, and I know Stav might actually be quite vocal about this one in a different way from me, but we always say, especially women always tend to have this notion about they should have something for themselves. I know Mo would have been perfect to have this discussion. Mo would have been perfect to have this discussion because I've had this discussion with her in the past about women should have something for themselves that is not separate from the men, just in case something ever happens, that they've got something for them to fall back on. Because there's times, you know, obviously in the past, women have been looked at as the person that stays at home while the man has been the breadwinner, and then when things go wrong, they have nothing to really fall back on. So that was one of the reasons. Another reason why
you can go back and listen to an episode that Mo was on, Mo from Collide the Box podcast, because we did actually discuss it on the podcast already.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, I that's another reason why I was asking. Like, maybe you'd think to yourself, I want my daughter to have something that's not linked to any husband that she may have in the future. It's just
and make it in it. No, I don't. No, it doesn't make the question doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it makes sense, but it's not a valid reason for me to give you more because the you and my son are equal, so I'll give you the equal money.
Equality at its finest.
The only time I would be, well, let me not say the only time, but the time off the top of my head that I could think about giving a daughter more than the son, or the son even more than the daughter, is because I think financially they'll do better with it. So it's like, let's say I have land and money to give.
Yeah.
And for some reason the boy's been dealing with the property, the land somehow. That's what he does, or he does it well, or I see it in his future. This is what he's good at. Then I'll give him the land and I'll give the girl the money, for instance, or vice versa. That's the only time I do it. I wouldn't do it just because you're the woman. Your life might be harder, because I don't wish that on my daughter. And as much as I see the real world, my eyes are open. I don't. You know when they say you plan for the worst but you expect the best, or whatever it is, it's kind of like that's what I do for my child. I understand that there's things there that are like, even for instance, she'll be going to school in September, and so me and Mrs. talking about uniform, and we had a big discussion because I said I wanted to wear trousers, maybe not now, but when she gets older, when she's especially secondary school, I wanted to wear trousers. Don't want her to wear skirts. And it was like, why? And I said, because men are perverts, and I don't want. And she's like, yeah, but you can't punish her. Because my daughter's very girly, she's probably going to want to wear skirts. You can't punish her for what men are like. And I'm like, it's not about punishing her, it's about protecting her. And unfortunately, you can't do whatever you want to do if you know, such and such and such. So it's that kind of thing. So it's not that I don't see, I don't plan, I don't think ahead, but I don't wish for it either. So I don't wish that your life is so poor and so hard that I'm just going to give you money in advance because
That
this
is
is
a
what
wicked
actually
question.
is going to happen.
That is a wicked question, but about the skirt and trouser thing.
Mr. Wolf, have you ever thought of that?
About whether my daughter wear a skirt or trousers on the basis that you kind of
because of men, yeah.
I have kind of, but
Even teachers.
I've kind of listen. I've said before that paedophiles are in schools. There are some teachers that are paedophiles, that undercover pedos in it. So skirt, trousers, or whatever, they're there, and it's down to us to educate our children on a certain type of etiquette and a certain type of way to move, a certain body language and stuff. That doesn't say that these predators are not going to pounce anyway. You know what I mean? When I was a little younger, I didn't have any kids at this time, and my brethren was telling me about how he teaches his daughter how to sit, how he teaches his daughter how to move and certain things because of these nasty men and nasty women that are out there, you know. So I don't think that I would prevent her from wearing a skirt. If she wanted to wear a skirt, I get the whole protection thing and I understand it fully. I will propose it. And if she's buying it, then yeah. But if she says, no, Dad, you know, I'd like to, then I'll leave her. You know what I mean?
Okay. Simple, Simon. Going back to the original question, brother. And then you can answer the second one as well. Why not?
Yeah, this is the thing, yeah. So prior to you asking the question, it wasn't really something that I'd given much thought and consideration. And the reason why I didn't give much thought and consideration is because as far as will is concerned and leaving stuff to my children's concerned, what I leave to them would have been done on an individualistic basis anyway. So I'm not making the assumption that all of my children are going to be all of my children are going to have the same needs or the same attributes, if that makes sense. So where, as a parent, you know where one of your children excels and where they need help and that kind of stuff. So whatever I left to them was going to be on that basis. Like I would think after a lifetime or however many years it is, you'd be able to see whether your boy is going to be an olodo or if your daughter is going to be the smart one, or what their appetite for money is like, what their appetite for understanding assets and liabilities is like. You have a good idea of mentally who's in the right space or what have you. And I would have tailored my will in that sense.
What if they're both equal?
Huh?
What if they're both equal in that?
If they're both equal in that, then I would have given them both equal things. I didn't, like I said, like when I read the question and I thought about it, I thought, yeah, that's actually quite true. But then I also felt a little bit like we're doing it again. We're having to make major adjustments to our personal lives because of society being fucked up. And that doesn't sit well with me. It's better to fix society, probably. And by the time my children get to an age, I'm not saying it will be fixed, but I think we would have adjusted a lot better as far as gender-based discrimination for pay is concerned. I can see the work that's being done. I'm an active part of the work being done in my own organization. So I can see that we will get to a stage by the time my children are of age where the pay gap between genders, if it still exists, is going to be the same pay gap that we have now, where between, let's say, the pay gap will go from being about gender to back to where it is now, where it is about color, where you're potentially getting 5 to 8 grand less than your white counterpart doing the same position, for example. That's what I think will be like in the future. And at that point, I don't think I need to give my daughter more than my son just because she's a daughter. That makes sense. You get where I'm coming from?
Hey.
How about the second part?
Refresh me on the second part again.
The trousers and the skirt.
Yeah, the trousers and the skirt thing. I'm not out here trying to police how my daughter dresses to that. Wait, let me finish. To that extent. But when you mention it just now, you make a good point. my thing is this. You don't know. I've been trying to raise a road man, innit? And it's worked for the most part, but it's kind of backfiring now. And the reason why it's kind of backfiring now is because the true nature of her is coming through, and she tends to be leaning towards being a girly girl. So with that, I'm gonna have to have the conversations about, again, the society we live in. So we're back to the same thing. The only difference is I think this is more immediate than the pay, because it starts from now. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So yeah, my conversations are gonna have to be about that. I'm always adjusting the way she sits and stuff and explaining to her why and all the rest of it. So as far as school's concerned with skirts and trousers, at the moment, she wears more trousers than skirts more often than not. She does have one or two skirts, but due say it's been cold here and she don't really like the cold too much. So when she's going in, even if she's got leggings on or whatever, she doesn't like it with the skirt, so she'll wear the trousers. But there are days when she's like, yeah, I want to wear a skirt today. And I'm not really against it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really so much against it. I understand the concern.
It's funny because I don't even have an issue with her wearing dresses and skirts now, because that's what she likes wearing. So she has loads of them. But for some reason, it's just going to school. It's the school uniform thing as well. It's like, pervs and men in school, girls in school uniform. There's a perversion for it already.
You see, the thing is, no, you're right. You're totally right. But the thing is, I haven't previously thought about that, because to me, those are the things, like, thinking about that will fuel paranoia. Do you get what I'm saying to you?
So here's the thing then. Maybe let me just ask you two fathers quickly then, before we end up. Am I too much? Because that seems to be like it's so high on my list of things that I think of with her. Like, even like when she wants to kiss us goodnight for the past few months now, she's like, oh, let me kiss you goodnight and stuff. But instead of, she doesn't want to get kissed, she wants to kiss. So I'm telling her, you're only allowed to kiss mommy and daddy. Like, there's no one allowed. I'm teaching her you can't kiss anyone. She rubs her belly button, she lifts up her dress. All I'm doing is teaching her, don't lift up your thing when you're around people. Like, at some point I'm gonna have to teach her, when you sit down, close your legs, because she wears a lot of skirts. I'm buying boxers, get ladies boxers instead of pants, because when she wears a skirt and obviously things are whatever, I don't want anything to be on display. I'm so cautious about this stuff. It's like every facet of my dealing with my daughter is there. I'm thinking of it because I've heard, and it goes back to what we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks, and for seasons, even forever. We know 2 out of 3 women are going to be molested or abused in their lifetime. 2 out of 3. I don't want my daughter to be one of that too. So it's like, obviously I cannot be there all the time and do everything, but everything I can do, I'm going to try and do. She has to be one of those one. Or I never want it to be like, I could have done something more. That will kill me inside if it's like, I could have seen this, I saw it coming, I saw an issue, and because I was like, no, I don't want to be too vigorous, I let it slide, and then bang, something happened.
Are you any of you guys taking your daughters to self-defense classes?
No, but I've always thought about it. A lot of my friends do that with their daughters. I was looking at a self-defense thing on Instagram today that I was hoping to promote on here for ladies that may want to do that, but I can't find it, unfortunately.
So I heard sorry, go on.
But in terms of what Stavros was saying, I don't think you can ever be too cautious. I think overly, the term overly cautious and paranoia, it may bring forth fear to your child. Do you understand? And she may have a level of fear to even step out of her house. So you have to be careful on that front. And
I am.
has to be a certain balance that you have, or the manner that you talk to her, the way that you say things. You understand what I'm saying? So, but in the grand scheme now, I don't think you can't be too careful, man. There's too many people out there that are just nasty.
You might not be too careful, too cautious, but you can be too controlling. And I think there's a fine balance.
I fully understand it. And what we were talking about with the governor of New York, there was something he said the other day where somebody did a meme about it. It was very funny, but he's talking about living in lockdown and home and his daughter's boyfriend coming into the house. I don't know if any of you have seen it. and basically he said that I might even introduce the clip in the audio one where he said, I like her boyfriend, but even if I didn't like him, I would have to say I like him, because if the minute you tell your daughter that you don't like the boyfriend, then something kicks in about her basically being anti
Establishment.
yeah, kind of thing, and then that will make them like him more. So whether I like him or I don't like him, I'll always say I like him. So that was just the thing that he said. So I might put the clip in because it's really funny. So yes, Wahala, what you're saying is I am very conscious of, you don't push people to, it's whether you do it with women, you do it with your boys, you do it with your children. It's the same thing with everybody, your family. Don't push people too far. There's always a limit. So yes, be cautious, like you say, and I'm obviously I'm very, very cautious, but don't be too much to the point where it's them things where I don't want to be stereotypical, but there are certain cultures where dads don't let their daughters out at all. And then eventually they start sneaking out wearing one clothes and they have a change of clothes in the bag. And eventually when they do go out, they get passed around the mandem because, you know, they want to be free. They want to be free now. I wasn't allowed to do anything before. Now I'm free. And it's the thing that you're fighting for ends up being exactly what happens because you went too far the other way. So it's not something I'm not conscious of.
My daughter's not in martial arts. Strangely, one of my fears was her going into a martial arts class and the molestation happening there. that's
I'm not seeing that. You can be around and watch her do what she
yeah. So if she's going into martial arts class, then I probably have to join the class as well.
you can just sit there, watch,
Yeah,
just
just
watch as a
there
parent.
observing, innit?
Yeah, but if I'm gonna be there, I might as well burn the energy in it. I might as well be a part
They
of it.
It'll
do
be a children's class, bro.
classes, and then they do adults. They don't do them together.
Fair enough.
People want to be out there kicking children down the kicking 5-year-olds in the chest.
Like 2016, boy, you just kick the baby one time.
F them kids. F them kids.
Yeah, so
beating up kids, boy.
I was worried
Gaza
about that.
fist your child.
You want to be a man? You want to be a man?
And then
Come on.
also, my daughter's into gymnastics, isn't it? So
That's what you need to be careful of.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying to you. So she's into gymnastics. We haven't put her in like the gymnastics school or anything yet. But again, that's another thing that I'm really paranoid about because of that mad session that happened with that one doctor that was just out here molesting all of them. So it's like, I don't know, bruv. Martial arts. Yeah, I want to get her into something. I'm getting the boxing pads at home, so I'll be teaching her the left, right, and the duck and the hook and the swing and all them kind of things. They're the best that I can. I do want to get her into martial art, but like you said, like it's a world of predators out there, man, and that's just, it just makes it unattractive and also kind of causes you to freeze in fear. When I say freeze, I mean don't make a decision in fear. And I don't want to not indulge her the things that she's interested in, but the risk factor is mad, bruv.
My girl has got boxing gloves though. We do have gloves and pads, so she knows the stance. She knows about jab, and she knows right hook and how to get the power out of it. So we've done a little bit, and she's always been enthusiastic, but she's not the sporty type at all. You know, she likes to hit, but she don't like to put the work in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that.
All right. And on that note of, again, reminding ourselves how dangerous it is for women out there. Another episode done. It's scary. It's scary. Guys, church notes, goodbyes, and then we're out of here. Let's start off with Mr. Wolf. Let's start off with Simple Simon.
I got a
Gaza.
bit to say.
Shout out to like some of your listeners and that. Last week I asked for some female comedians, and you lot come through, man. I can't lie. I've got a massive list. Webbs as well hit me up as well. Nice one, Webbs. I haven't managed to get through the whole massive list. I've only just started, so I got to the first 3 that I've watched so far has been Dulce Sloan. Takora Williams, and Coco Brown. Dulce Sloan she's very funny, but she's also very political with her comedy as well. She ain't trying to take no shit. I would actually recommend you go and listen to a few of her sets and stuff. When I say she ain't taking no shit, she's not taking shit from white people. She's not taking shit from any person of any color. Sorry, she's not taking shit from gay men. She's not taking she's just she's angry out here. But her comedy is really good. It's really really clever, really insightful. Takara Williams is kind of, I don't want to say everyday comedian, but she's kind of like very broad in her comedy as well. It's not necessarily color centric or what have you. So she's pretty good as well. Good, easy watch. And Coco Brown is very raw, extremely raw. But again, I love her. But I've got, like I said, a massive list, so I'm going through that.
Have you seen the Yvonne Orji's one?
No, not yet.
So Yvonne Orji is the girl from Immature. She's the able girl from Immature.
Right,
But
okay.
Insecure, not Immature.
Insecure, yeah.
I'd say that's a boy group, bruv, in the 90s.
Well, I watched it. It's so hard to watch this thing. It's not out anywhere, like to stream or nothing. I can't find it. But I've got situations and concerns. That allows me to watch American channels. So,
yeah.
I managed to catch it when it was actually on the TV.
Okay.
And I read a couple of tweets about it before I actually watched it, and a lot of Americans was quite angry at her.
Oh, okay.
They were saying things like, and I was just taking it as, the ADOS people maybe used to stem, but then I watched it. So they were quite angry. They were saying, this is really divisive. She's making American people look stupid. She's blah, 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 blah. And I was thinking, these people are just getting annoyed. Until I actually watched it. And not to be a spoiler for anything, but within the actual comedy, she separates black people and Africans. So you'll be talking about a story, and she was like, so Africans, they behave like this, blah, 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 blah. And but black people, they behave like this. And I was like, in my head, I was like, what? I had to get to understanding of what she was doing. And when you watch it, it just does seem really, really divisive. It is kind of her saying, well, black people, she means black Americans, basically. But instead of black Americans, she's just saying black people. Then she's saying Africans, like they're different. She's devised, she just made them different straight away from the bat. And then it just seemed like I could completely understand. As soon as I watched it, I can understand why anybody would feel quite offended by this.
So here's the question: Did the crowd laugh?
The crowd did laugh, but there was the crowd that probably have an understanding, and I got a feeling that a lot of them were of African descent.
Okay, seen raw. Okay, yeah, I ain't seen that one yet, but I guess I can put that on the list too. I don't know why. I don't for some reason figure that she'll be funny. I don't know why.
She was all right. It was an all right show. It wasn't massively, oh my God, I'm screaming loud.
But she's a comedian.
But she's a comedian, yeah.
No, I never knew that.
Yeah,
I don't get the impression she'd be that
funny.
Like,
No disrespect to her, but I just don't find that she'd be funny.
It was funny. There's stories in there that I found quite funny.
Okay.
But the fact that she separated blacks and Africans did not sit well with me.
It was very
or the wife.
Ooh,
we both like that. We don't like that.
I think that's consistent with the environment in America though, because we've heard more than enough times that black people in America have made a distinction between blacks and Africans. We've heard that loads of times.
I've heard them say African Americans and Africans.
Yeah.
I've never heard them say blacks and Africans.
I've heard blacks and Africans, and I've heard even the statement that blacks and Africans are not the same. Yeah, it's mad. So thank you to everyone who gave the comedians. If you've still got more, please come through. I'm still going to go through the list and go through all of them and ting. My rec for this week will probably be go and check out Dulce Sloan, go and check out Coco Brown, and if you've got enough time, Takara Williams also as well. At Simple Simon FB on Twitter. I don't have Instagrams. Guys, I always say forever, I'm a dead on a bitch.
Show off the thing, man, before you go. Show off the t-shirt. We can't see it, man.
Hey.
I told him to sit up already.
Hey. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Yeah.
Old school match, you get me?
Old school match. Old
Brought
school
to you
match.
by yours truly.
Yes, okay. All right, fine. Seeing as you're talking, Mr. Wolf.
What's going on, people? You can catch me on Instagram, aka Mr. Wolf, on Twitter, aka _ Mr. Wolf. I'm not going to mention the lady, although she is practically family. This was her message on Instagram. Finally, to all the men in my life, too many to post up, that are amazing examples of what a man and father can be. You are the reason I've never believed what media tell us about Black fathers. It's not just a reality in my family personally. Anyways, man are a minority, according to her. And she says that you are loved, you're appreciated, and highly respected. I did say at the beginning, I'll say it again, to all the men that are out there doing what they're supposed to do. We don't really want a pat on the back. And it's not just about this day, it is about the 365 days of the year. For those who have lost their fathers, their uncles, those mentors that are close to them, for those who don't have kids that are really doing amazing things that are, to them, are just normal behavior, but are impacting lives of nephews, nieces, younger brothers, sisters, cousins, whatever the case may be. Keep doing what you're doing. We need you and we love you. Black men get a very bad rep, and some of the time it is justified. But just best believe that there are a whole load of us, including the 5 men that are here, that are amazing Black men. So continue to do what you're doing. I saw on my girl, one of my girls' Instagram, this is Cherry V. I can mention her because she's a musician and I know that she wouldn't mind a shout out. Hopefully we'll get her on the podcast at some point of time. She's a fantastic singer, so check her out at Cherry V everywhere. She posted something on her Instagram called Black Minds Matter. And they, at the moment, are providing free therapy sessions for Black people in the UK with Black therapists. So it is at Black Lives Matter on Twitter and on Instagram. So please go ahead and find them there. We have spoke about mental health at this moment of time. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going through certain things. I know a therapist, one of the therapists that actually came onto our show, who's British national, but she lives in Atlanta now. She actually has therapy. She gives therapy, but she takes therapy as well because of the therapy that she gives. So maybe we all need a little bit. You know what I mean? So at Black Lives Matter, you can find them there.
Hang on. At Black Minds Matter, you mean?
At Black Minds Matter. I think
Okay,
I did
cool.
say at Black Lives Matter this time around. So at Black Minds Matter, you can find them there. And I'm signing out. See you guys hopefully next week. God willing, all good things.
And you show us your thing as well, bruv. Let's see it.
Oh,
Have it.
Merch.
Have it.
Yeah.
Have it.
Classic
Have it.
merch.
Webslinger, talk to your boy.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to answer Wireless questions. Maybe I'll do that next time.
Now go for it, man.
No, we've gone over, so it's all right. I'll hold it till next time.
Sorry,
but
man.
There won't
That's
be
all
a
right.
next time.
Well, fuck y'all then. Just to allude to something Simple said, he mentioned the word olodo. For our listeners that are not of Yoruba descent, olodo means dull person.
dumb.
Dumb, idiot, foolish boy or girl, whatever the case may be. DJ Websling on Instagram, DJ Websling on Twitter. I do not have anything my spider sense is tingling over this week. I will say in regards to self-defense, I have a brethren by the name of Clinton Julian, who is formulating his classes of Krav Maga for adults and children. When he has it up and running, I shall give you the details. Until then, thanks for listening. Catch you on the flip side.
That is actually a martial art that I want to learn how to do.
Man is out here doing the Israeli martial arts, you know. Jeez.
Yes, simmer.
You know.
Big Wahala.
Big Wahala on Insta, Big Wahala on Twitter. Check out I May Destroy You if you can. I'm not necessarily like the program is very deep. It's not going to be for everyone. I'm not even sure if even for me, but I suggest that everybody should at least watch it, get an understanding of it, and then go from there.
It's Michaela Cohen, isn't it?
Yeah, Michaela Cole. She's very, very. So there's only been about 4 episodes so far, but the stories and the discussions that's happening in this particular program is deep. A lot of things that I didn't expect to see of a program with black people basically in the UK anyway. Not in the UK.
Have you got past the episode with the moon cycles? Yeah.
I've watched every episode that's out.
Oh, okay, cool.
Is there a trigger warning needed for that?
Yep. Yep, there's a trigger warning for that as well.
Definitely, boy.
And it's based on her own. She put her own. She wrote it. Yeah, it's based on her own experiences. So so she's been through obviously what we've been speaking about. A lot of women have been through, and obviously she decided to make a program about it. So I don't know if we're speaking in riddles or whatever, but there's Wahala's recommendation. Anything else? Socials or what? You done?
I'm done, man. I'm done.
All right. I am Stavros Boss, and you can catch me at Stavros Boss everywhere. My Stavros Says this week is a film called Loose. That's Luce. Loose. It's an independent film, came out last year in 2019, I think.
Yeah, last year.
And you seen it?
Of course I've seen it.
Excuse me, brother. What do you think?
It was all right.
It's all right. I think it's poignant for this day and time for what's going on in the world. I don't want to say much because it kind of weaves a bit, it's quite, I don't want to spoil anything, but let's just say code switching is a good word to use in terms of this film. So it's Loose, Luce. Find it somewhere. It should be able to stream or purchase wherever you like.
It's got the black actor that seems to be in everything these days.
Yeah, he was in the other film that you recommended.
Waves.
Waves. Yeah. What you said you liked Waves? I
didn't say. I said that Waves looks fantastic. That's what I said it was. I said the film was all right.
Yeah, he said it looks. He said visually
it looks.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, for the first like half an hour, the camera doesn't stop moving. I remember you saying that. Yeah, it was all right. The film was all right. It's not as good as Loose. It was all right, and it probably had two sides to it. It just changed halfway through the
random.
But anyways, Loose. You can catch us collectively at ESN Podcasts on all social medias. Use the hashtag ESN Pod. Once again, that is ESN Pod to start or join in the conversation. I know we're getting a lot of traction with a clip that was posted weeks ago, featuring our long lost brother, well not long, but our lost brother Ty, talking about Tim Westwood because he's popped up in the news again, and that clip is doing the rounds. And we're actually getting people subscribing to us. Like I'm actually looking like down on my phone as they're subscribing now. So if you're a new listener, welcome. Use the hashtag ESNPod to tell us what you think about the podcast. What do you think? If you're an old time listener and you're watching us on YouTube for the first time, is this something you want us to keep doing? Should we find cameras and pump them into the studios once we move back and we're not recording remotely anymore? Or when we're recording remotely, should we? What donations?
Donations.
If you want us to record donations. Donations. So let us know what you think about the topics that we've been speaking about. Am I being too cautious with my daughter? Are people being too sensitive with Gary Lineker and his Black Lives Matter joke and whatnot? All the topics that we spoke about, let us know. Use the hashtag ESNPod. We respond to everything. We appreciate everything. Oh, and on that note, somebody listens to the podcast and they sent us videos. They sent us a question saying, why don't you discuss certain things going on in Africa? And they sent clips. And I watched one that was sent to me personally. And obviously I've got the link to our joint thingy. I blocked them personally. Well, I don't know if I told you. I blocked them because it basically was of a person being beheaded. Supposedly in Nigeria. I don't think it was even Nigeria because a lot of the comments said this is not Nigeria, bruv. But there are things going on in the world that we haven't discussed, either because we're ignorant to it or because it just hasn't come up on the discussion at the time. We only do 2 hours a week. We can't talk about everything. So this person wanted us. Sorry,
2.5 hours.
Okay, this person wanted us to discuss things that are going on in Africa, specifically Nigeria, atrocities going on there. I think we're going to do our research and come back to it at some point and we'll discuss it. So as much as I'm not happy with you sending videos of whatever you send them, I don't want you to think that we're just dismissing it. I did actually respond and say we'll get to it at some point, but we need to do our learnings on it as well. I know we're eloquently saying nothing, but we do like to know some things about something if we're going to be talking about important subjects. Also, there was one person that actually emailed in and was discussing, he wasn't happy with what myself and Websinger were talking about, don't be rude, Websinger, in terms of the police and defunding the police. And we went back, so we had an email conversation discussing last week we mentioned something about there being a place or being situations where police have been removed from a city or a town and crime rate has gone down, and he felt that we misrepresented how we put that out and how the stats don't actually show that with a lack of police there is a drop or lack of crime, or the statistics are not, it's not that way because of that reason.
He
So
said
me and him actually,
causality and correlation.
so we went backwards and forwards, and I actually conceded in the end. I conceded more so because I didn't want to argue, but I conceded because he was very good with how he put his arguments across. So I just wanted to put that up there, that if you are one of those people that wants the police gone, and something we said might have backed up that notion for you, then do your own research as well, as opposed to just listening to 5 blacks from London. Okay. So on that note, I think I've done all my actual church notes. Thank you very much. I don't know.
What's that?
What is
it's
that?
like webs.
Oh my God, it's the gimp suit from Pulp Fiction. Oh my God.
I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
Some
Right,
hard
so-
hitting pipe. Sorry, go on.
You
No,
get
no,
gone, you be gone.
Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in to episode whatever it is of the Eloquently Saying Nothing podcast, the first videoed one. Hey, so that's another landmark we've done. Yeah, bye, peace, later.
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you ain't saying nothing, say it well.
Slag for life, Arsenal for life.
Yo,
Oh, yeah.
yo.